The Falls Count Everywhere podcast would like to mention our friends at the following. We Talk Wrestling. For the one stop you need for the most intriguing stories and headlines, and info on independent shows in multiple regions, We Talk Wrestling has you covered. Subscribe to Facebook's #1 interactive community for professional wrestling today. Pro wrestling on Tuesdays are a blast with the Wrestle Talk podcast. Join the Night Owl, DJ Big Sexy, Luke Roberts, The Alpha, Jay Wade, Nightmare Jones, and many others as they bring you the hottest takes on the major circuits, showcase interviews with various indie stars, and the only place to get news on the most popular fantasy wrestling promotion, the FWWC. Catch them every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Central. Find all of their media outlets on their website at WrestleTalkPodcast.com.
Before each and every show, we like to remind our audience that freedom is never free, and all of us should be grateful to those who lay it all on the line. To all our first responders, military, and volunteers that help our nation every day, we love you and appreciate the sacrifices you make to protect all of us.
Get ready for episode number 146 of the Falls Count Everywhere podcast, as we welcome back the legendary Midwest Hall of Fame promoter of Southern Illinois Championship Wrestling for over 51 years, and the head producer of the SICW FanFest 2 taking place this weekend in St. Louis, Missouri, Herb Simmons. This podcast is scheduled for one episode, where falls count everywhere.
Good evening and happy Mother's Day, everybody. We're off here to get everything right, showing how we're sharing the show here, and we're doing everything possible to get ready for SICW FanFest 2 that's coming up this weekend, and of course we are excited about it. I know I'm definitely hyped up now. I'm knowing that it's drawing near. So, all right, Chuck Willery, knock it off. My name is Rough Cut Rick Ruby. Here in the top left, of course, to the top right is the Gem City Mouse Zmiz. Of course, GQ holding down the fort down on the bottom. And here very shortly, we should be joined here by Herb Simmons, probably within the next 5 to 10 minutes, I'm guessing here. But been a busy week for me. How about you, Z?
It's been good, actually. It hasn't been too hectic. Still panning out a new adventure. I did get my first sales, so shirts are blowing off the rack.
Oh yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, in fact, since we're doing that, let's talk about it, shall we? Yeah, should we talk about it? Talk about it. Oh,
I mean, that's what we do here. We talk about things. At least that's what we say.
Well, we can keep talking about it, man, because you can't just talk about it once. You got to talk about it multiple times, right?
Every time.
Let's talk about this, right? Yeah, the We Talk Wrestling t-shirt by thewokebrand.com. And that QR code will get you right to the order form for that shirt. Now, it will take about maybe 2 or 3 weeks to get a custom made.
Yep.
But Z, I'm sure you're wearing it right now, and I'm sure it's comfy as all get out.
I will actually have some at the FanFest too, so no fear. You can get your hands on some of them the day of the show.
Oh my goodness, yeah. And we're also working to also getting something sold for. I'm trying to see if I can get something creative for Falls Count for podcast t-shirts. Nice. That will be also for sale too. So we're going to be there to not only just put on a show, but if you want to support the merchandise, support the brands, once again, affiliation with We Talk Wrestling, of course, is the Falls Count Everywhere podcast, and vice versa. So
yeah, we go hand in hand. Like Falls Count Everywhere and We Talk Wrestling are like this. Like we are majorly a family. And by the way, I've been speaking of Mr. Terry, so I need to get you in contact with him. Maybe we can get you on some
Please.
Woke affiliate, brother.
Right, because when I'm looking here, I'm looking for. I don't get me wrong. I love our logo. I do. I just want something to make it pop. I want it to kind of bring out. Because look at this. I just love the way that this We Talk Wrestling logo just pops out right here. Right there. I love how it pops out. And just with the whole kind of just kind of stressed look, broken. Just like it just punched through something.
He took it. So the logo was originally designed by a late friend of mine who passed away. So it means a lot to me. And then Terry took it and just took Charlie's design and went one step farther with it, which is awesome. And I love it. And I know Charlie would love it. So it means the world to me. And there's more to come. So there is more to come. The wife and I are already working on a second thing. So
awesome.
Be ready. And then we're going to get Falls Count Everywhere going in there. Hopefully we'll get Falls Count Everywhere in the Woke affiliate group too. So you can just be getting our shirts whenever you want.
That's right. I would love that. If we could find a way to get that, something to pop. Holy crap. I'm just, like I said, I just like that shade. I don't know what we call it, lavender, orchid, whatever.
Yeah, it's more like a lavender purpley.
It's puce.
Yeah.
It fits Zmiz's personality since Zmiz is a purple guy.
Yeah. I'm sorry, GQ, what did you say?
I said it's puce.
Puce?
We'll let him go with that.
Sounds like a French
He's
word
had a busy day, he said.
about.
You remember? He said GQ's like, I had a busy day today. I'm tired, but I'm coming. We love you, GQ.
I love the motivational shirt he's wearing, please do not disturb, but we got to disturb you. We've got to disturb you somehow, because you start.
Good evening.
We're all disturbed in one form or the other.
Why is it,
buddy?
What's up, gents and Ruby? Really? Really?
I just now caught that. Hey, buddy. Yeah. Tyler Cooley's watching. Hey, Tyler, what's going on, bud? Tyler's been having a busy here, too. And Don, thanks for watching here as well. So, hopefully, guys, we'll start. But anything else, you can always reach out to We Talk Wrestling on Facebook. If you have any questions, or maybe you want to see about getting that shirt, we'll send you the link. Go once again to bookbrand.com. WHOAQ brand.
Now, you want to do that again, Ruby? Because you sound like you're in something.
What?
Now
brother, I've already killed my echo, if that's what you're talking about.
No, it was sounding muffled. See?
Oh, okay. Thank you. Well, thanks, guys. Okay. So that is the wokebrand.com. So WHOAQ.com. So, all right. So, all righty. I don't think nobody else has popped up here in the green room. So, with that being said, I'm going to take this off, put us back to where we were, and kind of let you guys know here. We're going to, like I said, Herb's running just a little bit late, but we want to let you know about what's coming up here. And I will tell you about the events upcoming here. We're going to go over those, but of course, it kicks off Friday night at the SICW FanFest, once again, the Aviator Hotel and Ballroom, beautiful South County, St. Louis, Missouri. So Friday night is the Bill After one-man show, which was recently announced as a sellout. So, so if you're looking to get tickets for that, you waited too long, you ain't be able to get them. Sorry. But there is still plenty of availability for the SICW FanFest to attend the date. Like I say, you want to go to SICW.org. If you have any questions on the events throughout the day on Saturday, there is separate tickets for the all-day FanFest, and then of course there's separate tickets for the St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame, and of course the wrestling show, which will include the Bruiser Brody, Larry Matysek, Tony Costa Memorial Battle Royal. We'll tell you, we'll get into more about that. But as of right now, we've got a couple reels here for you. We're going over the FanFest, and then, of course, our upcoming shows. It's crazy with these upcoming shows, even with this coming weekend. But we're going to go ahead and there's a new one in there that's going to actually be on the following weekend that I think you may like see. So pay attention to that. And we're going to go ahead and get those played. We'll be back here with you probably in about 4 minutes. But get something to drink, take a look at these, and then we will be right back here with you.
And appearances coming to a city near you. Saturday, May 25th, Glory Pro Wrestling returns with a huge event at the South Broadway Athletic Club located at 2301 South 7th Street in St. Louis, Missouri. Ethan Page, Tootie Lynn Ramsey, and the returning Rohit Raj, who are all scheduled to be in action. Doors open at 6 p.m. with a bell time of 7 p.m. For more information on the event and to get your tickets in advance, visit gloryprowrestling.com. Saturday, May 25th, IWA Productions returns to the IWA Event Center located at 521 Perkins Street in Mount Vernon, Illinois, as they present Schools Out. Tag Team Champions The Freak Show, Women's Champion TT the Island Girl, and Logan Ridge are scheduled to be in action. Doors open at 6 p.m. with a bell time of 7 p.m. Door ticket prices are $12 for front row and $7 for general admission. Save $2 by purchasing them in advance at the Ringside Buffet. Come join the fun! Saturday, May 18th, New Breed Wrestling returns to the Youth Center at Macon County Park, located at 1302 South Missouri Street in Macon, Missouri. Your main event is for the NBW Heavyweight Championship, as Nothing Neater Derek Teeter defends the title against the Silverback Big Joe Helms in an I Quit strap match. Doors open at 5 p.m. with a bell time of 6 p.m. Ticket price is $25 for VIP. General admission is $15. For more information on the event and to purchase tickets in advance, call 660-231-0054 or visit newbreedwrestling.ticketleap.com. Saturday, May 18th, Illinois Elite Wrestling returns to the Elks Lodge in Granite City, Illinois, as they present Phase 2, Preemptive Strike. Two big matches signed already, as Douglas O'Shea and Larry Wolf choose an IEW superstar to represent them for the battle of the IEW Commissionership. And P.T. Beckham defends the Heavyweight Championship against Jack Parker Jr. Doors open at 5 p.m. with a bell time of 6 p.m. Door ticket prices are $15 for adults, $5 for kids. Kids 5 and under get in free. To save money on adult tickets, purchase tickets in advance by visiting IllinoisEliteWrestling.ticketleap.com. Saturday, May 18th, American Championship Wrestling comes to St. James Recreation Center in St. James, Missouri, located at 1204 Nelson Hart Road, as they present a fundraiser to benefit the AmeriCorps Senior Companion Program. Apex Prime, The Bomb Brian James, Justin Main Event, new heavyweight champion Marvelous Mark Morgan, and many of your ACW favorites are scheduled to be in action. Doors open at 5 p.m. with a bell time of 6 p.m. Front row seats are $10. All other tickets are $6. Get your tickets at the door or get them in advance by going to acwtheshow.com. SICW presents this year's biggest wrestling extravaganza in the St. Louis area as they present FanFest 2. Friday, May 17th features Bill Apter's one-man show. And Saturday, May 18th is where the big festivities go down with an all-day expo featuring 60 legends and stars of professional wrestling and live wrestling auction throughout the day. Saturday evening kicks off with the 2024 St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame ceremony. Then a huge wrestling show featuring the Bruiser Brody, Larry Matisick, and Tony Costa Battle Royal, where the winner will be presented the Bruiser Brody Memorial Cup by Barbara Goodish. For information on purchasing event tickets, hotel reservations, and much more, visit SICW.org. Remember, fans, without you in the seats, there is no wrestling. Make sure you make plans to attend these shows, and we'll see you at ringside.
All right, gang. So it looks like we've been, like I said, quite a bit going on. So, Dean, what's going on? I know that Andy. Let's see.
Well, Brent, if you quit coming in here with them, there won't be any.
And you got it. Simpatica Trio kind of takes care of a lot of things for your dog. Just saying. I hate to kind of drop like brands on that, but I mean I've got my dogs on them, so got to make sure you take care of that. But no, hey, I saw you in the green room, Z. You're about the 25th,
dude. If I could make it to that show, I would 100% do it. Like,
right.
My boy Rahoot, right. Right.
So what was that fruit juice you were drinking there?
He posted on Twitter and or X and Instagram the other day that he was made for TV. I think he has it so wrong. And people don't understand how good the guy is. Like he wasn't made for TV. TV was made for him. That's all I'm saying.
There you go.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So Trenton and Andy, thanks again for tuning in, guys. Like I said, this weekend is going to be a blast here. And just we're waiting for it here. Like I said, Herb is actually he's coming into the home stretch here. He said he wanted to come on here and kind of discuss here. We've actually got some good conversations ready to go. Yeah. For Herb. But like I said, make sure that you're catching SICW All-Star Wrestling on YouTube before you watch us. So, great. It's a good thing about WWE moving their PLEs to Saturday, because then Sunday you can focus your wrestling attention on that, and then of course watching us right after the show. So
that's a fact.
Yeah, that's a big fact.
Nobody's taking the bottle from me, bro.
That's not some of that stuff Miranda Gordy was having you try, is it? I mean, it's something totally.
No, this is my own concoction of infused vodka. And if you don't know what I mean by infused, there's some happy little trees. So say that.
That's interesting. I'm going to say that's interesting. So I'm just more into a flavor of I mean, hopefully that doesn't take away the flavor of a good whiskey, like in the oak, beans in the barrel and all that.
Well, that's why you use vodka. I just got it in a whiskey glass.
It's pretty sad. I can't really stomach much vodka these days. Really, the only thing I can do is like whiskey or beer. It's pretty bad. Yeah,
I love it. He didn't Not really making it. He just has it like that.
No, I didn't make the vodka, but I infused it too. Like right. I did the whole, yeah, boy. I do things over here. Zmiz is trying other ways of avenue of making money, so I can spend more time with the people that I love the most, which is you two fools and my children, and of course my beautiful, amazing wife. So
why'd you name her last?
Because she's the best thing about my life. Come on.
The best for last?
Nice try. Try, GQ. Try to get me in trouble again and see what happened. No, I'm just kidding.
Which I'm sure that he was making her day lovely today for being Mother's Day, But I guess it's kind of, the kind of like hopefully it's not the low shelf like liquor. You just let it soak in some green and
No. Thank you, Alan Williams, for supplying some of the best vodka on the market.
I'm gonna get to him then, because I told him about it. I was like, I would like to see about sampling that.
If you don't know, Mastermind Vodka out there has probably the best vodka on the market as of right now, and it comes out of the St. Louis area. Once again, something great coming out of the St. Louis area, like SICW, IEW, so many other wrestling promotions that are great. Even the CHW boys, they've been killing it down there too. I've been enjoying some of their stuff.
Yeah. So,
you went muddy again, bro.
So let's get it out of your system now because it has you on the small screen, GQ, of all like the little Legos that you're bringing in. Because I've seen it.
He saw
Hold on.
you making fun of him.
I was gonna have this one there, but nope.
Oh! Shots fired.
Because he's not going to be there.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But it's because there's going to be a great show for Illinois Elite Wrestling. Yes, there's multiple shows going on.
I'm wrong. I'll still have him there. Sorry.
We love all promotions in the local area. Anyone doing NGW, IWA production. Like, there's so many letters down there. You guys are killing it and proud of you guys. Keep the work up. Keep it going. And we're about to bring in one of the greats supporting one of the greatest letters of all, SICW, who is about to bring us not the first, but the second FanFest now coming to the St. Louis area. So let's bring him on. Go ahead.
Sure, I don't need to say anymore. You did a great intro. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's bring on the one and only Herb Simmons, everybody. Hey, Herb, how you doing?
Well, let me tell you, I apologize for being late, but being 6 days away from FanFest, as you can imagine, I'm running in all different directions.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course. And like I said, we want to take the once again, we want to say thank you for taking the time out here because it's not. You've been making appearances and pushing this event in so many ways, so many different platforms and different podcasts. And once again, you're one of our favorites to come onto the show and talk talk wrestling, just in general. So.
Well, and you're right. I've been doing a lot, and I appreciate each and everybody who is allowed us to come on. As I told you the other night, our lovely friend Barbara Goodish and I think we've done about 12 of them in the last 30 days. And but that's what you have to do. And my hat's off to you guys for having the platform and the fans out there that follow what you guys do each and every week. And I really thank you guys because you have a show that gets the word out there. So I really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, I mean that's our purpose. Just our show's for the working man that's trying to push their way and earn their way through this business. Trying to showcase them, and then also other people that are involved in the business trying to make wrestling what it is. And at least, I think anyway, you
keep wrestling the way it is.
Yeah, keep wrestling the way it is. Exactly.
Old school.
Exactly. You got no argument from me here. I'll tell you that. So, yeah, man. So, like I said, we're going to touch on, like I said, we've kind of been kind of going over here about the SICW FanFest 2. Once again, this coming Saturday and Friday. Actually, it's kicking off Friday here. About that. So we've already announced, if you didn't catch it, that we did announce that it is actually now officially a sold out show. So no tickets available, to my knowledge. So I'm sure Mr. Bill Apter is going to be happy with that, and we'll talk about that. And then of course the all day Fan Fest and the events leading after that for the evening. So that's going to be very special, and to be part of that as well. So, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and kick things off as I kind of usually do. But kind of going back here, this all started here with wrestling at the Chase. Now at its 65 years ago, it started, and but we've talked about how it began with a handshake deal with Harold Koplar and Sam Munchnick. But I also want to kind of fast forward at this point, and I hate to kind of start a little somber. It almost feels like it's kind of somber with my question here, so I do apologize. But let's kind of fast forward to the end in 1983, where Sam was out of it. Larry was still trying to, Larry Manisick was still kind of the machine behind that, trying to keep it going. So if you can, take us through the last stages of, if you can, what you remember of that with Larry trying to keep it going, and if you can recall any parts of the transaction or of how it came to be, like it ended, and then like, do you know anything of it? I mean, did you know at the time that Vince was taking over, or how did that happen?
Yeah, it was no secret back then because Vince had been going around the country buying up a lot of the territories. And I tell people all the time, it's just a shame that Sam Muchnick wasn't about 20 years younger and still had the steam that he used to have 20 years before, because I think at that time he would have been the force for Vince to be reckoned with. Sam was well off financially. So I think he would have, 20 years younger, he'd have said, no, I'm planting my feet in the concrete. I'm staying here and we're not going anywhere. But that was the thing. At one time, there was talk that Larry was going to take over the entire operation in the program. But then Ray Singigo and O'Connor was throwing a big fib about that. They thought Larry was too young, and basically what you hear a lot of time nowadays, hadn't paid his dues, which was a bunch of baloney malarkey. That guy started off sweeping the floors at the offices and emptying the trash cans, and worked his way up all the way to calling in the results to the radio stations after the Kiel Auditorium or the Checkadome cards, and then writing the programs, worked his way into doing some of the booking, and then of course ring announcing, and then color commentary. So for it to be said that he hadn't paid his dues was just a bunch of BS. And so kind of then is when Larry, in which I was at several of the meetings with some of his investors that he had, and the key to it is the television. And Larry wanted to stay on Channel 11, and that's how Vince ended up making the putting the final nail in the coffin. He actually came in and negotiated with the TV and bought the rights for the TV out from underneath Larry, and that's why Larry ended up on KDNL Channel 30. And in fact, I have all of the tapes that Larry did through his short run, the TV tapes, still on the TV reels, in fact. And it was a shame because Larry was building a roster. We had Brody, Nikolai Volkov, Professor Tora Tanaka, a bunch of the other guys was coming in. He had just brought in Terry Gordy. One of the plans that we were working on is bringing that Freeburg and Von Erich feud here up to St. Louis, basically. In fact, Michael Hayes and Buddy Roberts was the next ones that was going to be joining. Fritz was actually working behind the scenes with Larry at that time, and because Fritz and Larry had over the years had made a pretty good relationship with one another. But when the TV got going, and then Vince started having meetings with Larry, and it came to a determination that it would be better to have Larry Matisek inside PN instead of outside PNN. And so that's how Larry ended up going to work for Vince for 10 years.
Yeah. But boy, 84 was really, and Vince really shook up the industry in 84 with a lot of things. And like I said, the recent Dark Side of the Ring, or the season finale, was over Black Saturday. That's on another territory. But the Freebirds actually were trying to come in and only did like maybe 2 like house shows for Vince, and then they did nothing else with them. And to take that talk about a feud back in the 80s. Probably one of the most notable feuds, like a group of families or factions. I mean, the Freebirds and the Von Erichs. If you don't follow, like as far as like wrestling history with that, as far as like a emotionally involved feud, that's one feud you need to go see, or at least go back and look on tapes on.
And I got to tell you, one of the most not only the way. I understood Sam retiring. That was a given. We all knew that. It had a great retirement party for him, but I was at the first show that Vince ran at the Corsan Room, and to see it change completely from what it was all the years it was there. He did away with the tables, with the white tablecloths. He brought in bleachers, of course, all the lighting and all the fancy stuff. And it just took away from the decor of what the Coruscant room used to be from 1959 on. And don't get me wrong, what Vince did changed the business the way that a lot of us knew it. And it was good for the promoters who sold their goods. They saw the handwriting on the wall, so they basically said, "Hey, we're going to take the money and run." And it's like the St. Louis tapes. They offered to buy them, and we wouldn't sell them. In fact, it was Ted DiBiase and Jim Ross that Vince's people actually sent in to negotiate. And we had found out what they had offered Kevin Von Erich for their library, and of course they were offering pennies on the dollar for the St. Louis stuff. That's why I still have that. Now a lot of that's been bootlegged out on the internet, and people call me all the time and say, "Oh, you ought to sue somebody because they got that." Well, we reproduced 12 volumes, and we were working on volume 13 when Larry passed away, and someday I'll get it finished. But we remastered them and sold them all over. I get calls still every month, people wanting a copy of those tapes. And so I want people to get enjoyment out of them, just like a lot of us have. We sold them and did a good job at it, and we sold them all over. We shipped them to Japan and Puerto Rico and places like that. And here in the States, they made good Christmas gifts right at that time when they first came out. Well, it's the first 3 volumes. I think we may have talked about this before. The first 3 volumes that we reproduced were on VHS. We didn't even know what a DVD was. Larry and I didn't. So when we took them to our second production guy, Charlie Regal, he wanted to know why we were reproducing them on VHS. And we said, well, what should we be doing with them? And he pulled out this thing that looked like some Frisbee. And, this is what you should be putting them on. And Larry and I looked at one another and said, man, where have we been hiding, And so we had him to remaster those first 3 volumes, 1, 2, and 3. And back then we were selling those volumes for $34.95 a copy when they first came out.
Wow.
Yeah. And people were buying them like hotcakes because for like 10 years I had been on him. I knew he had them, and he'd always say, "No, I'm keeping them in the den, and when Kelly grows up, and if she has children, she'll be able to show them what Grandpa used to do." And one day he just shocked me. He called up one morning, and he never was an early riser. Usually you wouldn't hear from him till around noontime because he was up so late at night having the phone calls with the Herb Simmonses and the Bruiser Brodies and people like that. And but he called me one morning, 9:00, and I thought, oh man, something's wrong. And he said, "You're right, big boy. Let's do something with those tapes." And so there was a guy at South Broadway Athletic Club at that time doing some filming named Scott Cooper. Mm-hmm. And so we worked a deal with him, and he actually did those first 3 volumes for us on the VHS tapes. And then Scott went through a divorce and had some issues, personal issues, and got out of that business. And then so Larry's daughter's volleyball coach back in the day had a video company, and Charlie Regal, and over here in Illinois. And I'll never forget, we took the first tape to him, which was a 1962 tape, black and white. And he said, "Man, how old is this?" And we told him, and he said, "Well, it's probably going to be sawdust when I open it up." And he opened it up and put it in his machine. And it was good. It was the only tape known out there. We actually got it from Joe Gary Jola. He gave it to us, and it's a tape with Anheuser-Busch Bavarian commercial on it, and it had Johnny Valentine against Bill Frazier, Pat O'Connor against Lorenzo Parenti, and so it's a classic tape. But and then the rest of them we just started reproducing them, and like I said, I still get calls, people want them.
Damn, yeah, I know. But a lot of us are treated to on each. Like every night, or at least most weeks, though, with your Promoters Corner section of SICW All-Star Wrestling, you tend to show a match or two from those days. and how it really was. And yeah, I get it, because there are some of those wrestling at the chase episodes where Vince took over, and it's incredible how all the guys you were negotiating with, he just came right in and started buying people out. He's, like I said, Vince just went out to the top guys in each territory, brought them in, with money. And then, like I said, the whole old school Victory magazine banner hanging behind the ring, and it's, I don't know, like I say, it definitely didn't have the same mystique as what Sam had and what Larry was running with wrestling at the chase. So I mean, it definitely didn't feel like wrestling at the chase. It was something far different with that. So but no, I mean, like I said, just to relive those memories of what it actually was when it was under the great ownership of Sam Munchnick, and of course Larry trying to carry out what Sam left behind. Still good, really good stuff with that. So so I'm gonna toss it over here to Z for the next topic or question he's got.
I was gonna say we could fast forward to a little bit last year when the FanFest 1 happened, and I think I remember a conversation we had then that you didn't know if this this weekend was going to happen, FanFest 2. You didn't, all the work that went into it, you're like, I don't know if I want to do it again. And here you are doing it again. What a memorable weekend that was last year. All the great times. I know for me, I had several mark out moments where I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe I'm in the presence of some of the people that I cherished so much growing up. So fast forward to, now, what made you pursue that crazy road to do it again, to go down that long, lonesome build-up with your team and your crew? Because that's what SICW, it's a family, it's a crew, it's a team, and you guys work so well together. How does it feel to come to this, and we're getting ready to go into FanFest 2?
Well, I'll tell you, FanFest 1 was a logistic nightmare also. We had 53 of the legends booked, and we ended up with 52 of them showing up. It's like anything in the wrestling business. You can plan for people to be there, and something either happens. Either they have travel problems, or they have illness, or they double booked themselves somewhere. So we ended up, I think 52 out of 53 was a good deal. But we made 50 out of that 52 that showed up. We made 49 trips from the airport to the hotel. And then you got to remember, then on Sunday morning, we had to take 49 people back to the hotel. And unfortunately, they don't all leave at the same time. They don't all go to the same place. So, and to answer your question, what made me consider, because there was a really deep talk about not taking another logistical nightmare on. But some of the vendors that helped me, GT Collectibles, Scott Wilder's promotion, the very next week they were on the phone with me telling me, said, Herb, we do these FanFest all over the country, and we both of them said we tried to figure out where we've been to one that was as well organized as what you put together. It was very profitable farm, which I was kind of scared about because I just didn't know that first time of doing one of them myself. And I'll be honest with you, I've never been to one of them before. So I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what kind of money the fans would spend. And that's why these legends set their own prices. I don't get involved in that. But so based on them telling me, say, hey, if you do another one, we're in for sure. And I'm happy to say they are this year. But then the fans, for weeks and months, everywhere I went, people were just talking about it. People who couldn't show up, but their friends or their family did, and said, hey, man, we couldn't make it. We had this planned. Because if you remember, that was Mother's Day weekend last year.
Yep.
And so that stopped quite a few people from coming. That's why Bill Apter couldn't make it last year. And he originally was booked. And then he had to call me back the next day and say, hey, I made a mistake. It's a Mother's Day weekend. We've got plans, and plus it's my anniversary. And I said, "Hey, Bill, I understand. Happy wife, happy life." And but then when I announced the dates for this year, he was the first one to call me and said, "Hey, buddy, I'm in if you need me." And that's why we've got that Friday night booked. But so, I mean, like I said, for months, people were just, hey, we heard it was great. People saw this person, saw that person, and everything. There was a couple of finagles. The hotel, the maintenance person had turned the heat on and by mistake instead of the air conditioning, and so things like that. And then they closed the bar down too early, and so we've but overall everything went all smooth. So talking with people like Nick Reddenauer, who was a big help last year and has been a big help this year, of course my family, and then some people that I really listen to, which isn't too many people, but they said, just remember what you always told us, what Sam said. If you're going to do something a second time, you either got to do it as good or bigger. And so now here we are, and we didn't intend on having 60 plus legends and special guests, but as the word spread, the phones kept ringing, and I'm the type of guy that I've worked with all of these people when they're calling me and saying, "Hey, if you need help, we're going to be there." And so I look at the schedule and I say, "Okay, it's the Bruiser Brody Memorial one-man gang. Had some great matches all over the country. So I'm bringing one-man gang in. There's one of them that's a fit. Get the years that they wrestle, good layout there. The Manny Fernandez of the world, the guys like that, Jerry Briscoe, Haku, Godfather. So there's a good array of talent there, but to answer your question even further, yeah, I'm pulling my hair out. I'm running in 100 different directions. We're 6 days away, but everybody that knows me knows I do my best work under pressure, and so we'll see what happens come Monday morning when everybody's back out of town and the dust is starting to settle, and then I'll let you know what I thought about the FanFest too.
Well, the crazy thing is your FanFest was like the sixth one I've been to of doing I've done some of the bigger ones like up in Chicago, Kansas City, etc. And I have to agree with everyone that they said well put together, clean, crisp, very easy to navigate. Everybody flowed very well. I mean, it was a big community conversation. It just didn't feel like a normal FanFest. It really felt like we all could just be the fans that we wanted to be, the lovers of professional wrestling. The wrestlers weren't being, all right, next, next. They were sitting there talking, having conversations, enjoying, spreading that love. I know Isaac, one of the guys from We Talk Wrestling that came down with me, is bummed that he got booked to work now for his job. He's like, it was all planned out. Now they need me, blah, blah, blah. So it was a great time. My son and I got the great Typhoon to autograph his thing. So I do appreciate everything you do for us, Herb, and the amount of fun and stuff. Before the cookies crumble, FanFest 3, could we see it around the corner maybe?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I've had a bunch of people ask that recently as today. I mean, that's why I was running late tonight. I've had people say, man, this ought to be an annual thing. And what I've told some of the individuals that I've been on some of these podcasts, because that's a question that comes up, I would hope that if Herb Simmons don't do a FanFest 3, that somebody does, because I think it started a trend now. And, we've got people that's coming from Canada, from California, from Tennessee, from Iowa, from Nebraska. The Nebraska Wrestling Hall of Fame folks are going to be one of the vendors there. So, we've got a wide variety of people, wrestling fans coming from all over. I mean, the hotel has been booked out, sold out, and the hotel across the street, I understand, is pretty well filled up. That one down the street, about 5 miles, they tell me that they're taking reservations. So that's a good indication that people are hooked to it now. If this one goes off without any major hitches, and like I said, and I've told you guys before, and Dave, you and I have had the conversation. I'm 71 years old. The gas tank, the E is that little arrow is getting down to that E. I enjoy doing what I do. I've got a great fan base. I got a great locker room. I got years of experience in that locker room, and I think that they've got a lot to go because they enjoy it as much as I do. It's just that, health wise, and that plus I still work a full time job, and I sit on several different committees, and so I find myself coming and going. Would I love to do it and keep on doing it? Yeah, that's no secret because I have the love of it, but I don't want to do it if I can't do it to the fullest extent.
100% fair answers. 100%.
Well, I know you had mentioned like last year, Bill Apter was supposed to be there, then he had to cancel. Then, and he's going to be there. He's actually kicking it off with the one man show on Friday, which, as Ruby had said earlier, which is sold out. For those coming out to see it, what other stars may be in attendance for that show, and elaborate on your friendship that you have with Bill?
Bill's a great friend. Been friends a long time, and unfortunately, a lot of the times that Bill and I get to talk is either when I've got the word of somebody who's passed away, or he's got it and he's calling me to see what I've heard, or vice versa. So, but then the chat starts from there. And I've been out in Vegas with him and seen him do his one man show there. Of course, it's really he's added to it a lot now, and I think those who this is kind of the VIP Bill Apter show. I negotiated with the hotel to use their other smaller room that seats about 100 people, and have some refreshments farm and some appetizers, because it's about scheduled to be about a 90-minute show. But Bill and I talked today; it's probably going to be a little bit longer because Mac Davis and Teddy Long is going to be a part of the show, and also Medusa. But already I know One Man Gang is going to be there. I would suspect the flights start coming in about 6:40 Friday morning. We'll be starting at the airport, and then they run pretty well up till noon, and then a bunch of the rest of them will be running to the airport up until about midnight. And but I suspect that the legends and the special guests that will be in the hotel that are staying there that have bought tickets will be there. Like I said, we actually announced, I think it was either yesterday or the day before, the tickets were sold out for Bill Apter show. But Bill's a great friend, and I tell people all the time, every legend from back in the, I would say as far as the 60s, 70s, early 80s, Bill Apter had something to do with their career. Because remember, there was no internet back in those days, and he traveled all over the world following the wrestlers and writing some of the articles and taking the photography work and putting their pictures on the magazines that we all ran into the drugstore to wait for,
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we actually inducted him into the Hall of Fame here back in 2015. We were one of the first Hall of Fames to even have him in it. And I actually was watching something on the internet one night late, about midnight, and they were talking about that. Why isn't Bill Apter in every Hall of Fame? And the next morning, or when Larry and I talked, I said, hey, let's put Bill Apter in the Hall of Fame. And he said, man, that's a great idea. And so that's how Bill got in there in 2015.
Was that also around the same time as his 70th birthday as well?
I'm sorry.
Was that the same time as his 70th birthday?
No, that would have been when we had him in for his birthday. Maybe it was it. Yeah, that could have been the same time, I think.
Okay.
That could have been, because that was the same time, because if it's not, it was shortly thereof, because we had him in, because that night after that, we all ended up over at Merce after the show.
I've heard of that place. I've been there before.
You've been there a couple of times, yeah. And of course, Bill loves to sing karaoke, and
And it was amazing when he did it there too.
yeah, he loves his um, impersonations, and so the people coming, the VIPs, will get to see a little bit of that in action, and that's why we talked today. He's got everything lined up. Well, we got the projector and set up for him, and the big screen, and the stage, and the sound system, and so he knows I'll do it the right way. And he told me today that him and Mac Davis has already went over things, and it's going to be something that I think people will be entertained with, and so I'm looking forward to seeing the fans. Like I said, for 100 people to put down $25, either they've seen it before, or they've heard about it, and they want to be a part of it. So that was the good thing.
And speaking of the fans and being a fan, so going into this fan fest, who is somebody that you're looking forward to reconnecting with, or who maybe wasn't at last year's fan fest, or who's coming back at this year's fan fest for you to visit with? Because you're just as big a fan as all we are. Like I've had conversation. We've all had conversation with you. You're just as big of a fan of this industry as we are. Who are you looking forward to this year that may not have been there last year?
Well, the ones that weren't there last year, I mentioned, like One Man Gang, great guy. It'd been a long time that I had seen him before I brought him in to SICW last time, several years back, in East Grand Gillette. I always liked George. He's got great stories. My problem is that I talk with a lot of these guys on the phone on a regular basis, whether it be about shows, possibility, or bookings. I work with Steve Stasiak now, a company called Book Pro Wrestlers, him and I, and so we're booking a lot of these guys around the country. And so we're on the phone with them. Hey, we've got this date possibly opened up for you, or we got this date, or, we can tell you 2 dates in. So Steve is doing a great job. He does 99% of the legwork on that. But I do a lot of the guys that he hasn't quite made the connections with yet, and so he's really appreciative to that. So there's not a day usually goes by that I'm not talking to somebody. Jimmy Hart, I talk to him on a regular basis, and he's always been in here with me. But if I had to think, Haku's the same way. I talk to him a lot, all the time. I'm glad Wendy Richter, we're inducting her into the Hall of Fame. Lalani Kai, I talked to her on the phone because her and Steve are good friends. But if I had to think, Dr. Tom Pritchard, I talked to him quite a bit. I'm glad to see he's coming in. It'd be hard for me to pick this one. Manny Fernandez, I talked to him. Barbara Goodisher and I talk almost every day. So as I think of the list, I'm just trying to pick one person out. I'm excited about all of them. And you're right, I'm a big fan, or I wouldn't be doing this as hard as I do it, because we all grew up a fan, and you guys are in it because you grew up a fan and you're still a fan.
100%.
You could be sitting here talking about baseball or football or whatever else, but here we are. And the scary part about it is we could sit here all night and talk about wrestling.
100%.
Right?
And believe me, I've done that. I've done that with guys. Dr. D. David Schultz. I mean, there's a guy that I get excited about him because I know the in-depth story of everything that took place there. With John Strassel and how he basically got thrown underneath the bus and ran over 100 times. And when we were out in Vegas, when they gave him the award out there the night before, we were sitting in the nostalgia room, and he said, "Hey, Herb, guess what?" I said, "What's that, D?" He said, "They made a big mistake." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Tomorrow night, they're giving me a microphone." And I'm telling you, he did. He put a lot of people in their place, and he did it in the right way.
I mean, just the other day, my kids were making fun of me. I was watching OVW, and they're like, "Dad, do you not just not watch wrestling? Because it doesn't matter if it's you guys, IEW, what I do with them, and OVW, NWA, TNA. It doesn't matter what wrestling promotion it is. Like, it's on my screen at pretty much at any given time that I'm awake. So I'm watching wrestling, studying wrestling. So I understand it.
Well, and you're a fan, and you can see that it pays off. That you're watching it, you're getting all the aspects from all the companies, and I'll be honest with you, I tried to watch WWE. I guess it was probably 6-8 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Bob Orton had told me that they were going to be doing something with Randy, and in the first 40 minutes was nothing but basically talking. And I'm thinking, I can't watch this, I just can't. And I've never watched an AEW show. I mean, I've got a library of tapes. I mean, I just took ownership of 500 VHS tapes of wrestling from a person in California that was going to throw them away.
I mean, I got a VHS player.
What we need to do is to get together and have a little boys night, and I haven't even started going through them yet. But I mean, the box they sent to me weighed close to 70 pounds, and
oh God,
and to think, in fact, the guy who facilitated the deal for me on that, it will be at FanFest, Rock Riddle.
Oh, nice. Oh yeah, Rock. Yeah,
and Rock called me up and said, "Hey." Because, and I've told people this, my goal and my dream is to open up a small museum. Mm-hmm. So if and when I stop the promotional part of it, I'm kind of focused on that now. I just got a lot of, I don't know if you ever heard of the lady wrestler, Beverly Shades. I got a lot of her old stuff, a couple of her championship belts and her boots and her cowgirl hat and a couple of her outfits. And I get people calling me quite frequently want me to sell something that they know I've got. Like I got a big sign that hung in the Kiel Auditorium from back in 1968-69 with Gene Kaniski against Edouard Carpentier, and it's a big frame sign. And I mean, I've been offered quite a bit of money for that, but I don't sell any of my memorabilia because one day, one of two things are going to happen. Either I'm going to get it put in a museum, or when I leave this great world, my wife will have the biggest bonfire ever, And of course, when I tell people that, they say, "Oh no, tell her to call us," So, but I've got between the tapes and the books, the magazines. Last year, I don't know if you remember, laying in the ring at the FanFest was that big quilt that had all of the different organizations, and everybody was signing it. That to me, that would look good framed, hanging on a wall somewhere. But that's my goal, to have a museum, put the St. Louis Hall of Fame in there, and everything else.
I know the Zmiz family will visit that quite a bit if it ever does get a permanent spot.
Well,
make them an apartment upstairs, and they'll just live there.
I mean, it's funny. Herb talks about all those VHSs he got. My grandparents are downsizing and cleaning up their house and stuff, so I got their old TV, their old tube TV, and one of their old VCRs. Because I'm like, Grandpa, are you going to get rid of these? He's like, yeah, I'm going to throw them away. I'm like, do they work? And he's like, yeah, I think they do. So we checked, got them working and stuff. I brought them home. I pulled out my old VHS box, and I have old, VHSs of WWE, WCW, and then the stuff that I, recorded, the pay-per-views, all that kind of stuff. And my son's like, why do these all have just green spray paint on top of the VHS? I'm like, anything green spray painted is a wrestling video. So he's been sitting down here in our basement and just sits there and watch all of the old VHSs of all these wrestling going on, and he's just as addicted almost to wrestling as I am. So it's this great thing that I'm so happy that I got to meet guys like you, and I'm so blessed to meet you guys. Not just her, but Ruby, GQ, and all the information you guys give me, because you guys really put more blood into my body where I'm like, God damn, I want to be a wrestling person. Like, I want to be in this business one way or another. So thank you for everything.
Well, and no, and thank you for what you do. And like I said, and doesn't that make you feel good that your son is following in your footsteps, and that he's not sitting there watching the video games where they're shooting one another and chopping their heads off? And
He does that too, but no.
I kind of figured he probably did.
He has a dad that's a gamer too, so we get together. We build our own rosters. We all that kind of stuff on 2K. Like, so we are wrestling. Yeah.
As long as you're doing it together to where you can kind of supervise him, you know.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but that's so, you know, it's but to answer, you know, Bill Apter, great guy, and then he'll be there all day Saturday, and I'm just really excited that Bill could join us this year.
Where are we at here? Me.
GQ,
right?
that's you.
I know you guys got more questions than that.
Oh yeah, I mean, so we've had you on the show many times, and you a couple of times you talked about a certain project that you were working on in regards to a book. If you can guess on the percentage, how certain is this to be a reality, and can we expect to read? What can we expect to read inside of it?
Well, it's a reality. In fact, I actually started working on it probably 3 months ago, and the one thing that I found out, and maybe a little bit longer, it's about 4 months now, I would think, but the thing that has really amazed me about it is how it triggers the memories. And I remember Larry alluding to that back, because, you know, I had the fortune, the great fortune of when Larry was writing the books, like the first Wrestling at the Chase book, he would do 2 or 3 chapters, and then he would send them to me, and then I would read them, and then I would give him my critique of it, and then he would have his wife read them, because she was she's a retired teacher, English teacher, and so she got to make sure everything was punctually correct, you know, and everything. But I remember him several times saying that he'd call up and say, "Man, I forgot about this because I was writing this, and then this come up, and now I know exactly what he was talking about," because you know, I basically started off, because I've had so many people tell me, and even back when Larry was still with us, he said, "Herb, you got to write a book, not just on the wrestling, but everything else that you've been involved in. You know, your business career in the ambulance business, the firefighting, the law enforcement, you know, and then the wrestling all tied into it, because I've always been, I tell everybody, I've been a jack of all trades and a master of none, you know. That's why I'm still working at 71 years old. But really, the reason I am, because I enjoy my day job, and I work for the greatest guy ever, and my job is interesting, and it kind of ties into what my whole career had been with the ambulance service and the law enforcement and the fire industry. So the 911 and EMA is it all kind of wraps together. And but writing the book, yeah, it's now the second part of your question is the toughest one. Is what I mean, what's going to be in it is everything that I can remember, which I'm finding out now a lot. I mean, I started off from basically back in 1953 being born, and talking about my mother and how she's one of the ones that got me involved in watching wrestling at an early age on our black and white television, growing up in the housing projects in East St. Louis, and just kind of progressed on through there up until, you know, going to grade school and getting a job at the local gas station, and pumping gas and working on cars and driving a tow truck, and then getting in the ambulance business and the towing and recovery business. I had a feed store. I had an upholstery business. So, you know, there's been a lot that I've done. And so each of those things have triggered more stories. So my problem is, and I'll tell you, the person who's helped me with it is Adam Hamlin. I don't know if you know Adam, the photographer. Mm-hmm. He is he's pretty sharp when it comes to doing books. And so I write on the weekend when I get time. I do another couple of chapters and I send them to him, and then he'll come back and give me the thumbs up, or if he really liked it, I get 2 thumbs up usually. So, but again, I think it's in a work now. Whether I get it all done to where I can get it published, and again, I don't know who's going to want to buy it, but if nothing else, I'll have one to put in the museum.
Oh man, yeah. So I know that I'd be one of the ones wanting to read the book, obviously.
Well, and because then I talk about Larry, our friendship, talk about my first time of being with Sam, meeting him, when Brody and I got together, and Abdullah and people like that. So I mean, it's going to be a who's who of the book, and I jump around. Most books are. Everything is kind of like choreographed, for lack of a better term. It's all. So I might be here at this point of it, but then I say, I go to this next topic, and I'll say, you're going to hear more about this later on in the book. And
right.
And what I find out about that, and what research I've done on it, is that makes people interested, want to keep reading to find out what I left them with, like the cliffhanger is. So we'll see what it works. So, I mean, I may get ready to try to get it published, and of course, Ed Wheatley, the name Ed Wheatley, and
oh yeah, of course,
he's a guy that I can always. He'll be at our show on the 18th. I talked to him just this week. He's excited about it. He showed up last year and didn't bring enough books. He had to leave, and then when he got home, he had another issue, but he wanted to get back because he sold out about the first hour. So he's going to be bringing a few more books this time.
I would imagine. I mean, like I said, it's definitely an awesome book to have. It's a book, I own it. It's really a treasure.
Jim Carnett says he sleeps with his. He says it smells so fresh, and the pages are so crisp. And on his podcast, he just said it was one of the better books that because he didn't spend he didn't waste any money on the production of it. I mean, it's crisp. It's it's a hardbound, and you got it. Mm-hmm. Jim Carnett said I sleep with mine. He said it just smells so good, and the pages are crisp, and pictures are great, and so we're going to do another project. Him and I are working on another one, so we'll see. Wow. We'll see how that goes. We're the Head Over Heels documentary. We got nominated for an Emmy for that. We didn't win, but we got nominated. But it was, I don't know if you guys happened to catch that or not, but it was fun doing that, and it's another thing that I go back and review. And the bucket list was that the show we did in the Coruscant room. I mean, Larry and I always wanted to do that, and I just kind of wished he'd have been here to have the chance to do that again. And because that was a very nostalgia day, that day, being in the same room where the likes of Luthez and Rip Hawk and Johnny Valentine and Farmer Marlin and Gene Kaniski and people like that. I mean, I actually went over that Sunday afternoon about 2 hours early I wanted to just be in there by myself, just to feel the goosebumps. And I believe me, I got them. I'm telling you.
Man, I'll tell you, yeah.
Chandeliers are the same that was there, and a lot of history. I've been in that room for many other functions, and I have never been in there one time at another function that the topic of wrestling at the Chase never came up. It wouldn't come. I mean, people just say, "Man, if these walls could talk, could you imagine what Dick the Bruiser would be saying?" I mean, whether I was there for a political function or a social event or whatever, it was just. I see Jim Holford. He was there that day, and I'll tell you what happened. They were setting the ring up that afternoon, and you're all aware of the crossbars and that on the ring. Well, they dropped one of those crossbars, and it landed on another one. Of course, you had that steel bar hitting the other steel, and it made like a reverberation noise. Yep. And that room is kind of like a dome shape, and that noise from those two poles landing together, I mean, it kind of just reverberated all over the building, and we all stopped and looked at one another and said, "Holy cow! Are they trying to tell us something?" You know, uh, but but yeah, all my guys who was there. That was on the top of their bucket list, I think.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, having a show there is actually tremendous here, and I'm glad that you know, at least they got to experience that. Of course, going back to wrestling, that chase you're talking about with Ed Wheatley and being nominated for that, you know, releasing that documentary, releasing the book, you know, getting to be part of that. You know, that was the whole Private Missouri Athletic Club show with that book, with the official book release, and then on the, you know, and they
Well, and you've been on that MAC show a couple times, haven't you, Rick? And I think
oh man,
I think
uh,
you'll agree that's probably the closest setting to the old wrestling at the Chase days that you'll ever come to.
oh my goodness, yeah. So yeah, like so, the first show, I actually kicked it off against Waco. I mean, and you talk about a crowd. The crowd was buzzing.
You set the bar that night.
Man, yeah, I mean, the crowd was buzzing that night, and people, like I said, businessmen. I mean, these guys that are, you know, cigar smoke. I mean, I got the smell of it, but I'm just happy I was the only, because not, you know, guys that were wrestling later that night was wrestling in smog from all, like a humidor of all the cigar smoke. But I mean, guys just throwing around $100 bills, throwing down bets on matches. I mean,
Yeah.
and then just getting those guys to just get so animated and excited was actually, I mean, it was definitely a thrill for me. So, and that's something that's going to take with me as far as one of my highlights of my career. Me now going into my 29th year. Holy cow!
We'll be going back there this year. They haven't picked a date yet, but one of the reasons why is they're trying to book Hogan in there, and we've been negotiating with his attorney, and so we'll find out if that's going to pull off or not. You know, so.
And if, like I said, if I do anything else for the rest of my life, MAC for me, that's me, because I know I can bring the. I mean, I can bring the excitement, man. If that goes down, because I'll tell you what, Hulk Hogan is the reason why I got into wrestling. So, people like it or not, I mean, Hulkamania was the
I agree.
The coup de grace for me. So
well, and he changed the he changed the dynamics of it, and whether, you know, there are guys out there says he doesn't know the difference between a wristwatch and a wrist lock, but whether you like him or you don't, him and the Eye of the Tiger music, it changed. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And some will say it wasn't for the good, but you know, and that's why I was talking about earlier. I mean, I can't watch a lot of the stuff out there nowadays. Not when I've got the library where I can go and grab a tape out or a DVD and throw it in, and it's Dick or you know, against Killer Kowalski or, you know, something like that, and I can sit there and watch that stuff all night long.
No, yeah. So, yeah, that would definitely be another major feather in my cap if I am part of that. And of course, so, you know, we're going to be talking more about what's actually upcoming for the FanFest. So also, we got, you know, like I said, you know, the events leading up to this coming weekend here. So we're kind of take things down for those who haven't watched before. You know, obviously the reason for this, Bruiser Brody, it ended up being added on Larry Matisic, Tony Costa Battle Royal because of them being no longer with us. But this all started out as Bruiser Brody. You know, of course, you were very close friends with them for several years before tragedy happened. So, if you can share exactly what kept, I mean, despite all this and having to, you know, having to getting the news of that, I know it really kind of put you in a place where you're like, you don't know if you're going to continue or not. So what kept you going to keep going in the wrestling business, and talk us through on the idea of how the Bruiser Brody Memorial Battle Royal came to be.
Well, it's kind of a long story. I mean, getting tied up with Frank Goodish, Bruiser Brody, was all due to Larry Matisek introducing me to him. And I've got pictures of him when he first started working with me back in the late 70s up at the Belclair Fairgrounds, which is kind of ironic. That's where we're still doing shows at to this day. And uh, we used to work him all over Missouri and Illinois, of course. And then I would go to shows when the Bruiser would have him up in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and places like that, or up in Chicago. I would travel to go with him. But Frank, and I never said a word to anybody until Barbara Goodish kind of let the cat out of the bag. About a year ago, she was doing a podcast, and I think it was probably right before the FanFest. She was helping promote it, and the topic of conversation come up about Frank's relationship in St. Louis and with me and Larry. And she mentioned on the podcast that uh, Frank and I was getting ready to go into business together on another venture, and that's why he was actually in town in 1988, the weekend before he got murdered. We owned a bar in Cahokia, Illinois, and we had the upstairs part of it. It was a two-story building, and the upstairs was called Brody Lounge. And it was a place where when he was in the area, he could come and he could let his hair down, and he didn't have to worry about being bothered. It was called Mickey's Emergency Stop. And at that time, I was in the ambulance company and was in the law enforcement. So it was basically a hangout for law enforcement, firefighters, and EMS personnel, and of course, other fans that were able to keep their social drinking under control, because if not, there was always a large group of officers in there that would handle anything, which we never had any trouble. But Brody was with us that whole weekend, and we were not only celebrating our anniversary there, the business, but we were finalizing moving forward what we were going to be doing. And so Barbara let that out on the podcast, and the reason why I never said anything about it because it was really nobody's business. In fact, I remember calling her after she got off the podcast, and I said, "What in the hell are you doing? Why are you putting that out there?" And she said, "Herb, I just think it's time that people know that you and Frank were more than just business as far as the wrestling and that goes." So yeah, in 1988, that following weekend, we knew he was going to Puerto Rico, and he had one other stop to make in the States, and then he'd be over there. And that Sunday evening, I remember right where I was at. I was at a place called Whitey Herzog's Beer Garden down at Union Station. I used to go down there every Sunday night because we were open. The bar and restaurant was open 6 days a week, and then we would always take our staff to Whitey Herzog's place and on Sunday evening and listen to the oldies they used to play. And I was there, and back then, you didn't have a cell phone. I had that little pager that it'd go beep 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 beep, and the number would come across it. And of course, I'm sitting there, and it goes off, and it's Larry's number. And I said, "Man, let me call him and see what he wants." So I had to go find a change, put it in the payphone, and because you didn't have cell phones. And so I called him, and man, he's broke up on the phone. I mean, he's just literally emotionally upset. And I thought maybe something happened to his wife, Pat. I didn't know what to think. I didn't even dream that something happened to Frank. And all I could get out of him was, Frank's dead. Frank's dead. And I said, "What, a plane crash? Or what are you talking about?" He said, "No." He said, "Jose killed him." And I said, "What?" And yeah, and I knew what the problems were over there. In fact, that week before that Sunday night, instead of going to Whitey, we sat at the bar because we'd been there all weekend with the anniversary. And we said, instead of going over there with Frank being in town, we were going to hang there at the tavern. And I remember talking to him about being on the road and going to these places. Wasn't he worried about that? And his response was, "Herb, I gotta provide for my family, so I got to do it." yeah, there's places that are tough and places you got to have eyes in the back of your head. And so I knew what he was into over there. And to say it surprised me, I, I didn't want to believe it. But given the fact that I knew the issues that he was having there, uh, it was not that total of a shock. It was a shock that it happened. But so I left there and went right up to Larry's house. And we sat there probably 5-6 hours. It seems like, the best of my knowledge now, because we were just, that was Larry's friend, my friend, and knowing all the stuff that was taking place, because there's people out there that can tell you that, oh, I was there, I saw this, I know this, but back then, other than the culprits on the other side, there's only 3 people that knew what happened, and that was Frank, Larry, and myself. And of course, both of them are gone now. And I did the BBC interview with the London radio broadcast here just a month or 2 ago. They did an 8 episode segment on Frank, and wow. They tried to get that information. And I told him no. I said, if I'm able to get my book done, and when I get to that chapter, I'll decide how much I'm going to put in there about it. But I don't disclose it. Barbara doesn't even know all of it. But so, in fact, after that happened, to answer your question of how I got back in it, I got out of it for about a year. And my lawyer at that time kept bugging me. Herb, it's like riding a bicycle. You got to get back up on it and start pedaling. And another person who had a lot of influence on me doing it was Tony Costa. Tony would call me and say, "Come on, damn it, shake it, get out of the funk you're in." And Frank wouldn't want you to do this. And then people like Big Daddy, Roger Bailey, Giant Assassin, Ron Powers. They were young guys, but they knew what Frank meant to all of us, because, some of the biggest matches the Giant Assassin had was against Bruiser Brody.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And, of course, Big Daddy and Brody always wanted to take them guys on the road with him. And they did the right things, stayed home, kept their day job. And but I just think that between those guys, and my attorney probably had the biggest influence, because he was a fan too, and he had done a lot of legal stuff with us, and he was helping us put the legal papers together and everything that we needed. And he just said, "Hey, do it for Frank. Get out there and show him." And that's why I say a lot of times that I know that guys like Frank and Larry and Sam and Tony. That's why we added the Bruiser Brody memorial when Larry passed away. I added his name to it, and then Tony, because there was nobody I spent more time on the road with than Tony Costa. He was my junior heavyweight champion for several years, and we traveled everything from the Boot Hills of Missouri all the way up to the Indiana border. Up in down in southern Illinois, Fairfield, Illinois, El Dorado, Albion, Carmi, and then all the way up in Waseca, Illinois, Peoria, Illinois, Springfield, Illinois. So, but Tony and I, we put more miles on my 1977 Lincoln Continental than should have been allowed. I always told him I'm going to have to buy a new car just to do the wrestling stuff, But between those guys, they're the ones that got me remotivated, and I'm thankful that I find myself asking myself, why am I still here? Why are they the ones that are gone? And of course, they say you're not supposed to ask, but it's hard not to, because I loved all of them, and they all helped me out in their own way.
Yeah, and then as far as that kind of takes back, when was the actual first battle royal, the memorial? When was that? If you can remember,
we didn't start the battle royals until I think 2014 2014, 2015, something like
Oh
that.
yeah, 2015. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Yes, 2014, 2015. Yeah. That's the one thing that I find myself in doing this book is as I've got older, the dates. I always told everybody that for years I had the mind and the body of an elephant. But as I've got older, the mind is as far as like dates and that escape me, and I don't have the excuse of saying I took headshots because I never did. But I think it's just something as you get older, and then I think some of them are dates and that stuff you don't want to remember. Like I really Frank getting murdered. I mean, stop and think if he would still be here now, him and Larry both. And I'll brag a little bit because SICW is doing everything, is knock on wood, the right way. I mean, June 1st, we're tied up with NASCAR. We're doing the big show with them with the Worldwide Technology Raceway. Those are the type of shows that if you're a promoter that you should be salivating over. I mean, those are shows that get you recognized and get your brand out there. I mean, they're doing commercials advertising SICW, just like with the MAC, the Coruscant Room, this FanFest. When you got people around the country, and you got people coming from Canada, the SICW, those, just like they say, the wrestling at the chase, those four little words. Well, when you mention those four little letters, SICW, people know they're reputable. And again, if I sound like I'm bragging, I am, because I think the guys in the locker room deserve, because they're the ones that's out there busting their tail and taking the bumps and the bruises, and I'm just kind of steering the ship, and without them and without the great fans, there is no SICW and there is no Herb Simmons, so.
Absolutely. Yeah, and like you said, we'll talk more about everything that's coming up here as far as what to expect here for Saturday night, because I think we're going to get into that here now with GQ on his next question that he's got for you.
Well, one of the major events that is happening on Saturday is the St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame inducting their class of 2024. So let's take a moment and go through the list of names. I'm going to say the names, and you give me your thoughts on their impact in the professional wrestling business of each one of them, and that way so also our listeners know who all is getting inducted, which is Leilani Kai, Judy Martin, Wendy Richter, George Abel, Harold Koppler, and the ace Cowboy Bob Orton Jr.
Yeah, it's a great class for 2024. And like I said, they're all very deserving of being in there. A couple of them should have been in there a long time ago. And I take full responsibility for that because, you can only put so many in there a year or, it gets watered down. And because if you look at the names that we've got in there now, fortunately, we have no chauffeurs. We do have movie stars in there, Terry Funk and people like that who starred in movies before any of Vince's people did. And but Leilani Kai did a lot of work in St. Louis. I've got tapes of her wrestling at the Chase, her and Judy Martin both. And then later on in their careers, Jimmy Hart actually managed them. And so I'm excited that Jimmy is going to be there. He's going to kind of be hosting the show on Saturday. And, you give Jimmy a microphone and he can keep us entertained all day long. So two good, lovely ladies that are very well deserving of it. All you got to do is Google their names and you'll see what their accomplishments has been in the business. And then, of course, Wendy Richter, same way in St. Louis. She did a lot of work with Frank back in the day also, Bruiser Brody. Barbara and I talked about her tonight on our show. I did an interview with Barbara on there. And so Wendy, very, very well deserving. she was back in that basically the rock and wrestling era, and so I think people's going to be interested in hearing some of her stories. I've actually, I know you've heard the name Malaya Osaka.
Yeah.
So Malaya is going to be joining us on the 18th. I've been trying to find a female partner for her that's got a Missouri license, and I haven't been able to do that. But I told her, I said, you're either going to be working or you're going to be working. And the other work is going to be you're going to help me do the introduction of Wendy and Judy and Lalani, because a couple of years ago, she brought a list of female wrestlers all together out to Vegas and got them all recognized. And and let's face it, back in the day, female wrestlers were considered a special attraction. Even here in St. Louis, that's how Sam built them. Same way with the little people. You didn't have them on every card. They were just the novelty act that they brought in. But Malaya had, she had a couple dozen of the ladies in. And she done such a fabulous job of organizing it and coordinating, getting all of them there and getting them all recognized. So I know she knows these ladies. She knows Wendy and she knows Judy and Lalani. So she's going to be there to help with that part of it. George Abel. If you look at George Abel, Google him, you'll see that he not only made his name with the wrestling, but he did so much other entertainment stuff in the city of St. Louis, different programming. His son has reached out to me a couple of times over the last couple of years and said, hey, my dad did this thing, which I knew well aware of his dad because Larry always talked about George. He kind of patented himself after George Abel. And so it's only fitting that George goes in there. We'll have a nice video that we're putting together that Mr. Abel's son has sent us. And I think the fans will be glad to take a look at that. And it will trigger some memories for some of the older people that may be there that will remember some of the other characters that he played and some of the newscasting stuff that he was involved in. So I'm happy that George is finally going in. The other one of the other ones should have been in there at the very beginning, and that's Mr. Kopler. He's the one that made the deal with Sam Muchnick on the airplane in 1959, and why he got skipped. Like I said, I take full responsibility of that because he should have been in there right next to Sam Muchnick, because without his venue, the Chase Park Plaza Hotel, and owning the KPLR TV studio, there would have been no wrestling at the Chase. And basically he had the venue and he had the studio and Sam had the wrestlers, and that's how that marriage got made. And he was looking for contents and Sam was looking for exposure. And boy, did it ever work. It set the wrestling industry on its heels, and it just took off from there. The next guy is no stranger to all of us, and that's the Ace Cowboy Bob Orton Jr., who runs the Ace Wrestling Academy, plus has just been a big name in the wrestling business. His father was on the first card of wrestling at the Chase in 1959. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame, I believe, in the class of 15, also maybe 16. I'd have to check on that. And his brother Barry O was a good worker, and of course we all know what Randy's done and did and will continue to be doing. And I'm real excited to say that the entire Orton family is going to be there to help do the induction of Bob Orton Jr.
Man,
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean that's nuts. I mean, you definitely you nailed it right on the head. I mean, with Randy's still doing it for fact that he's won his match this past week on SmackDown, advancing in the this year's King of the Ring tournament that WWE's having. So whether get a chance to see if he's going to go over to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia to compete for the finals is still to be determined. But yeah, no, I mean it's really Yeah, yeah. Put that up there, Z. If you can.
I got you. I got you. Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge.
Nudge, nudge. Wink, whole family. So,
and I'd be honest, I've in talking with Randy the last couple of weeks. I mean, it's a big deal for him and the family, and of course, with the new ownerships of WWE, nobody knows what they're allowing, what they're not allowing, and but I've actually had other people in the locker room at a SmackDown show call me and say, "Hey, Randy was in there telling us all about it, and that he's excited about it." And so, but I just, I mean, I hope the stars are all aligned and that happens, because and I'm not talking about just for what it means for the show, but for Bob. Bob really deserves that, and because you won't find a more humble individual than Bob Orton. I've traveled quite a bit with him on the road over the years. As recently as about 3 weeks ago, we made a trip to Arkansas and then to Southern Illinois, and he's another one that if you throw him a couple of scenarios out there, it triggers memories, and then he gets going, and so I think it'll be good. His other son Nathan is going to be in early that Saturday morning, coming in from New York, and his daughter is called me or texted me, and they're coming. Hopefully, they're going to bring the kids, and of course, the wife, the lovely Elaine, will be there, and so it's going to be fun. So if people haven't got their tickets, they need to go to SICW.org and get them. It's not after midnight yet, is it? But we're 6 days away.
yeah, absolutely. Before I get to talking, or at least before he goes to his next question here, like I said with Bob, I had another thought, but then of course I lost it. But
well, I just saw on there Jim Holford. He gets to be with Bob twice a week. At the academy.
Right.
He's got to learn him real well and know him, and Jim and the guys are working with the what I call the future legends of the business, because if these guys are in there learning from the likes of Bob Orton and then guys like the Big Texan and people like that, it's got 20 years of experience. Why you wouldn't want to be there, I have no idea. If you're really interested in getting in and learning it the right way.
oh man, yeah. I mean, it's a lot of good minds in the business down at the Ace Wrestling Academy, which, by the way, I will shout out, even though you may, when it comes to competition wise, you may not like them, but shout out to Sean Vincent for a speedy recovery. He had torn his ACL and some other meniscus. And
I had to talk to him today, and of course, I had to ask him how he was doing. I was because he had dates booked with me, and he's going to be out. Could be as long as a year. And so,
was there a chance during that surgery that they actually sewed his mouth shut too, or was no luck in that?
Well, you must have had our phone call tape, because it wasn't exactly word for word for that. But I remember when he was the ambassador of SICW, and I asked him, I said, couldn't they give you some of that juice back in you? I don't like this guy. And of course, can't say what he said, but he's got visions of grandeur, I guess. I don't know. But it was a short conversation. But as of today, his leg, the block that they gave him was wearing off, and he was looking at the medicine bottle to try to take a few pain pills.
Wow. Well, speedy recovery to him. Not unfortunately. Speedy recovery, Sean. But speaking of another great award that is going to be given out that night, and to another guy that's been in the business and knows way more than most of us will ever get to know, and that is the Sam Muchnick's Award being given out to the Night Train Gary Jackson. Now, tell us more about the story behind the award, your thoughts on the Night Train himself, and maybe a little insight into the next award that you'll be getting later on this year.
Well, I started the Sam Muchnick Award about 3 years ago, because the first recipient of that was Barbara Goodish, and She got it because of, I get to use her. Some people say I use Bruiser Brody to perpetuate myself, and that's the farthest thing from the truth. The reason why I do Bruiser Brody so much is because he was a good wrestler, he was a good individual, and he was my good friend. And I've made a promise to Barbara that as long as I have breath in me, that his legacy will live on, and I'm trying to do that. So I don't really care what people think. They can kiss my behind if they don't like it. But I think same way with Sam Muchnick, there would be no wrestling as we grew up on and try to remember nowadays if it wasn't for Sam Muchnick. Sam was, and of course, if you got to go back and I know somebody like Jim Holforth is a guy who is, if he's not being named, it he should be a local historian, because there's a guy that reads and studies wrestling. You guys talk about the wrestling that we all watch. Jim not only watch it, he studies it, and if you mention something, he's going to go find it, and he can tell you the stories that, like a lot of people don't know that Sam Muchnick and Lou Thez were actually in business against one another back in the day. Tom Pax, that whole deal, if you really want to find the history of it, go back and just search it. But Sam weathered the storm, and and so he's the one that made it to what I remembered as, and what I was a small part of. So we had to honor him. And then with Barbara, like I said, she let us use Brody's name, who Sam really loved. I mean, when his son was being born at the hospital, he came to St. Louis to do a show, and Frank didn't know she was delivering. And Larry had told Sam just before the show, and Frank was getting there late from the airport. And the first thing Sam said, "What are you doing here?" And he said, "Well, we got a show." He said, "Why aren't you at home with your wife at the hospital?" He said, "Because we got a show." And Sam told him, "Get on an airplane and get home to your family." And Frank and Barbara never forgot that, especially Barbara, and that's the kind of guy Sam was. And so I just said, we got to honor Sam with his award. His sons, I've become to be friends with and talk with a lot. They've been in for us. And so we started that award. So I gave the first one to Barbara. And then, of course, the second year was to Darla Staggs, because that young lady was in her father's arms back in 1959 when Pat O'Connor beat Dick Hutton for the NWA title at Kiel Auditorium. And then I think she's been to every wrestling match since then. I mean, she knew Sam, and Sam knew her, and Juanita, who, if you don't know, Juanita worked for us as Princess Dark Cloud for several years, and then went on. Larry and I recommended her to Vince's people to be Dusty Rhodes' valet. But Darla got the second year, and this year it was hands down Gary Jackson. Gary Jackson should be in every locker room that's in this business. If there's a promoter out there that doesn't want Gary Jackson in their locker room, then he needs to throw the towel in. And because the wealth of knowledge that man's got, what he brings to a table to talk about the business, and then to have done what he's done in the business. Some people think, oh, yeah, he's wrestled in St. Louis. No, this guy's wrestled all over. All you got to do is Google his name, and you'll see him in there against the Razor Ramones and Kamala the Ugandan Giant, and people like that. So he's paid his dues 1,001 times, and it's got where he's at because he always, when he left home to go somewhere, he'd had his gear with him. He'd go to these shows, and Blackjack Lanza and people like that would say, hey, you got your gear with you tonight. We need a substitute, or we need an extra. and that's how he would get in the door, and that's what he tells the young guys nowadays. So he's receiving the Sam Muchnick Award this year, and I can't be more happy that it's going to somebody like him. And then you talk about I just announced it. CAC will do the official announcement. Ron Hutchinson, the gentleman who handles the website, has been out of town on some personal issues, but he'll be putting it out shortly. But I went ahead with the okay of President CEO B. Brian Blair that the Night Train is also, and he got that name from Bruiser Brody. I remember sitting at Larry's house with Frank. We were putting a couple of cards together, and Frank always had a liking for Gary, and he said, we got to come up with a catchy name. I just don't like, calling him Gary Jackson. And he said, let's call him the Night Train. And I remember Larry calling Gary on the phone and saying, hey, you got a new name. And Gary will tell you that story to this day. And he's honored that somebody like Frank would think about him to do that, So your third part of that question, yes, I'm excited that Gary is getting the Wrestler of the Year award out at the Cauliflower Alley Club, and it's an award that they started last year, announced it, and so he's going to be the recipient of it this year, and he's excited about that. I got to call and tell him personally, and of course, my scheduling, I didn't know if it was going to allow me to go this year, but then Gary kind of put the icing on that cake because he called and asked me if I would do him a favor and do the induction of him in Vegas. So I couldn't tell him no. So I guess I'm going to Vegas.
Well, you could have told him no, but you wouldn't have meant it. So.
Well, I mean, I don't know I know you guys have been to Vegas. I know Tim, you haven't you?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, and again, I mean, I'm just not a Vegas guy. I mean,
Yeah, same.
I mean, it's okay, but like Gary said, he said, I can't think of anybody that knows more about me than you, because you got to remember, I was there when we started sneaking him into the Kiel Auditorium back when he was underage to get, not Kiel Auditorium, the Chase Bar, Wrestling at the Chase. You had to be 16 to get in for the TV tapings, and he was like 14, 15, and his mother worked at Ruggieri's with Mickey Garagiola, and she would always tell Mickey that, my son is a wrestling fan, he's a fanatic, and he'd love to come down, and Mickey's the one that, got him down there, and then we'd sneak him in the back door and tell him, keep your mouth shut. If anybody asks you how you are, tell him you forgot and come and get one of us, So, but... So he's been around a long time, and he's still out there doing it to this day.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, like I said, Gary continues to work, and I will go back on the fact that if there is a promotion out there that doesn't care for Gary's advice or expertise in the locker room, that promoter should just shut the show down and get out of the business. So, I mean, that is if there's anybody out there.
Well, and here's the thing. Ask this one question. What reasoning could you, as a veteran of this business, could ever give to tell Gary Jackson that?
Right.
If you and back in the day, promoters worked with promoters, and that's probably what's wrong with today. If somebody would have called and said, "Hey, what about Gary Jackson? Is he okay? Is he a cancer in the locker room?" And if the promoter said, "No, gosh, he's great. He does that," but you don't have that now. You don't have the camaraderie between the organizations. But again, a close area like this, there ain't one promotion out here that don't know Gary Jackson.
Right.
I mean, his name is the household name. So,
there's an interesting story with Gary. Before he even got involved in the wrestling business, watching the superstars and stuff like that, he was the first one I actually remembered because he was the only one at the time on TV doing some of those matches that was hailed from St. Louis at the time.
Yep, exactly.
And, then I was able to actually get a chance to work with him and even team with him one time. You remember the show that was out there at Belle Claire Fairgrounds that Frank and Lee Miller and Colonel did.
Oh yeah.
That was a fiasco and a half there, but
Wasn't my show.
Well, what's funny also is that show, Larry remembered me from that too. It's like, of all people, all shows, I was remembered that way. So,
You always seem to remember those kinds,
hmm
So, but no, Gary, there are guys out there that just stick out, and Gary is one of them. And I mean, when he goes out to Vegas, I've been out there several times with him, and everybody knows him. And of course, Jim, I see he's still on there, and Jim's been there the last several years, and him and Bobby D. And I think he can tell you that when you get there, the SICW logo, people come up and talk to them, and they've made some good networking friends out there, and so it's a place to go and network and meet people, but it's also a place that you go and you get recognized, and I think it's just all for the hard work that they've done, and then the promotion as far as keeping the word out there, social media. You guys know I burn social media up.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you probably do it more than a social media major that's going to be there at the FanFest does. I mean,
Yeah, man. So speaking of speaking of the FanFest, and of course, just speaking of with the ceremony and the Sam Mushnick Award that will also be presented during this ceremony. So we'll go over some specifics here. First off, so tickets are still available at SICW.org. Now, I know there's two separate events. So is there like a package deal to buy if you attend the FanFest and the night show, or is it separate, or?
Yeah, you can buy the the bundle package, gets you everything basically, and of course the VIP ticket for Friday night is sold out, but it was a separate ticket anyway. It wasn't included in the bundle packet because the hotel didn't want to make the deal at first with me until I had to negotiate with them, and we already had the web page up, and but yeah, you can either come and do the Fan Fest and not the Hall of Fame and not the wrestling, or you can come if you want to just do the Fan Fest, which I don't know why you would. I mean, I don't know anybody who's a fan who doesn't want to come and at least do the Fan Fest part of it also. That's what it's all about, is coming and meeting the legends that you grew up watching, and then the Hall of Fame, just with the names that we've listed there tonight, to me is worth, because if you look at the amount that's being charged, it's not breaking the bank. That's probably one of the complaints that I'm getting from the talent. Herb, you got to raise your price. And I tell them, hey, you guys are getting what we negotiate. Let me worry about that, because I know my demographics here. I know what my people can afford, and I don't want to take a bath on it. If we pay all the bills and everybody is happy and have a good time, I'm tickled to death. But I want the fans to come and be able to meet the wrestlers, the legends, and get pictures with them and buy a picture or buy a book. But if they got to spend a couple $100 to get in the door, and they want to bring 2 or 3 family members with them, well, you ain't got any money left to support the guys that's coming in, and we've got I think in fact, I'm working on that tonight still, the vendors that are going to be setting up. I think we got 16 of them. I want them to make money. They're coming to take time out of their schedule and set up their booths and sell their goods. So, if you charge $200-300 to get in or whatever, then no, people ain't got that kind of money.
Yep.
Right. Exactly. So, I mean, like I said, we got, a great number of vendors, like some of the Nebraska Hall of Fames coming in, 6 from the Bigs will be there, that of course GQ will be part of. He's going to be pretty much busy because obviously we're going to be part of that too. you're gonna be ran more than a rabbit trying to cross the road there, GQ. So
If you could put two tables next to each other, like the Falls Count Everywhere and Six, it'd be great. Less walking for me. So
yeah, well, yeah.
Well, and don't forget,
All about you.
Don't forget, Chris Owens is going to have the Andre the Giant collection there, and he's added some more pieces to it. And I'm really excited about Chris jumping right on board with us again this year because it's such a great display. And not too many fans that I know out there that aren't Andre the Giant fans.
Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, just the list of guys, like you said, that you've announced. I mean, 60 people just announced. Especially with One Man Gang, with Downtown Bruno or otherwise known as Harvey Whippleman. Mac Davis and Teddy Long coming back, JBL coming back, Ross Hart coming back. So there's some, besides new ones, we got some that are returning. So
Abdullah the Butcher.
Abby coming for the first time. Yeah, so that'll be something.
Godfather.
I'd rather see Papa Shango, but that's just me.
Stop it. I mean, Papa Shango was good though. I do like that.
Yeah. You're a big. GQ hears about. He's a big fan of irrelevant gimmicks, so that's why he likes.
Don't knock him on the irrelevant gimmicks. Sometimes some of those irrelevant gimmicks were just as good as the ones that that made them the household names. So,
yeah.
So let me ask you guys this question: What are you looking? What are you guys looking to see at this 6-day away event? I mean, what are you guys going to be doing now?
Well, Godfather's definitely right up. Yeah, Godfather's right up there on people I want to see and meet. I would love to be able to sit down. Train. Yeah, 100%. Add Teddy Long in there too, because I heard he likes that stuff too, and I'm all about it. But JBL is somebody that I grew up loving as a child and thought was amazing. So getting to see him and hopefully get to speak with him again would be amazing. And then the cream of the crop for me is 100% Medusa. 100% Medusa, because I am a big fan of her as a female wrestler. But I also have a love for her on the other side of the list. Just like you said, when you go into this event June 1st, where you're going to be in front of NASCAR fans getting to see, and they're going to have, a blending of fans. I'm a big monster truck fan. And Medusa won the world championship in freestyle in Monster Jam. So not only is she one of the wrestlers, but another sport that I love dearly. So I'm pumped to meet Medusa. And if you can make that happen to where she's sitting behind camera with us, I'll mark out like I would Jared Briscoe.
Yeah, she's going to be helping do a little co-hosting with Jimmy Hart. So I'm sure she's going to be busy, but I told her she got to be busy at her table taking care of the fans because we're selling her photos. And but if you do get a chance to talk to her, ask her how she came about being a monster truck driver.
You already reading my mind, because that's what I want to know. Is like, how did she make the jump? Like, what geared that move?
Yeah, she and I tell you, she's been out of Vegas the last couple of years, and she's really done a great job there. And I mean, I was fortunate enough to, and it was one of those deals where when I called her, it was like, when do you need me? And I said, well, when are you available? Then we'll talk about it. But she stays pretty busy, But, Haku's coming back, like Jim just said. And what a guy Haku is. Haku, Jerry Briscoe, the one, like I said, the one-man gang, Dr. Tom Pritchard. I mean, it just, I think it's going to be a good time. I think I got my fingers crossed that it goes as smooth as it did last May. And I want
with the air running.
Believe me.
Yeah, AC this time.
Believe me. I will
blue, not the red.
Well, I will tell you, I have had some finagles where the hotel has been sold. And I found out about that last week. And Jim can tell you, because I've been at the Jim and a few other people. And man, I'll tell you, it's been that added to my stress level went off the chart because everybody who was there last year that I dealt with is not there anymore, and and they couldn't find their copy of the contract. Thank God, my wife had mine readily available. So it's been and to say that I'm still not worried a little bit would be an understatement. Um, they're trying to get their liquor license worked out, and so we still got some hurdles we got to go through. But that's one of the things that make you want to say, why am I doing this? These are things that I don't have control over, and that's what's disturbing about it. And but we're going to do the best we can. And like I said, they've got a new interim general manager, a gentleman from Arkansas that seems to want to do everything the right way. I told him I would definitely love to get it done the right way without having to get my legal guy involved. But we'll get it all because I'll be honest.
Post that, Jim.
I'll be honest with you. I was, the thought even goes in your mind. Well, if you can't have food and if you can't have alcohol, maybe I cancel it. But then here's all these people who's bought tickets coming from all over the place. People who's booked the hotel. You don't get refund on some of these airplane tickets. So that's why I told them we got to make this work, and we're going to make it work. So, but I won't sleep until it's over with. I can tell you. So,
oh yeah, exactly. So no, I mean, as far as the people, gosh, there's a whole list of people that are just here. Like for instance, Greg Gagne, Jim Brunzell, B. Brian Blair, of course. I'm except for B. Brian Blair, of course, and being the president of the CAC. Getting him there. Again, all the Glow girls. Like I said, I watched these girls growing up. When I just watching wrestling. I watched all that Glow when I was aspiring young boy in the business. Just watching.
That's how you modeled that blonde hair you used to have from.
Well, I didn't have that when I was 13. You jerk!
Yeah.
Shut up.
And I didn't mention it, but there is going to be, and it won't be announced until that night, but there will be a Lifetime Achievement Award given out that evening, which is that will be the last award of the evening before we start the wrestling and the Bruiser Brody Battle Royal. And I think everybody will be happy with it. They gave me that award last year, which totally brought tears to my eyes because Nick Rednire and a few others actually that I didn't know anything about it, and they were buzzing about it all afternoon around there, and man, I was getting ready to get out of the ring, and Jimmy Hart's pulling on my shirt. Hey, hold on, we ain't done yet. Heck, I've got the itinerary. I got everything right here. The agenda. What do you mean? No, hold on a minute. And then they did that. But here I'm standing there within the ring is Spike Huber, Stan Hansen, Ted DiBiase, Baron Von Raschke's at ringside, and then they give me that Lifetime Achievement Award. I mean, I got to tell you, that was a moment of my life that I thought, this ain't happening. This ain't real. I don't deserve this. There's more people out there, but and then when Stan Hansen leaned over and whispered in my ear and said, Frank and Larry'd be proud of you. That kind of hit home.
Wow, that's real nice.
And you knew that had to be pulled over on you somehow because you pulled the same trick on Larry back with the St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame too, where he didn't even know anything about it.
Didn't know anything about it. Yeah. Wait a minute, what's Jim saying? Sunday the 19th? No, Jim, go to bed.
That's Monday. Monday, yeah.
Sunday, he's sleeping.
Yeah, my gosh. I told you, there's a guy that he lives and breathes it. I'm telling you, mark my word, he's going to be listed like a George Shire or somebody like that. Sheldon Goldenberg, a historian of professional wrestling.
If there's a vote in my book, and for whatever my word has to say, if there's anyone that takes over SICW, I think that's the perfect man for you to pass the reins to, my dude.
Yeah, as I said earlier, the the talent of the years of experience in that SICW locker room. And of course, somebody just posted a message the other day that they were going to send somebody over to the retirement home across the river, to the old folks home. But I'm going to tell you, I got guys in that locker room: superstar Steve Fender, the Big Texan, Gary Jackson, Attila Khan, guys like that they have forgotten more about this business than more people than that we'll ever can think of. And I'm talking about here locally. So that for them to want to knock these old timers, if they want to book a match, tell them to call me. That's what I tell them. I'm sure I could get Big Texan to get in the ring with some of these young guys, and or Attila Khan or superstar Steve Fender, guys who were trained by Harley Race.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it's and I'm looking forward to Haku coming back and see if he can put the tongue of death grip on GQ. That'd be pretty fun.
I heard he's a nice guy.
You know what? I'll tell you what. Hold on. I'll tell you what. I'll let that happen after you take 5 chops, Z.
Why am I going to take 5 chops? I'm not even the one that posted
Okay,
it
let's
again.
do the comparison. 5 chops from Texan, or me getting beat up by,
I have a photo somewhere here from the spookery where Mr. Haku put the tongue and death grip on me. So bet.
I know you're going to ask for the real one, and it's almost going to kill me. And you can take 5 chops in comparison, because Haku, okay.
And I will still take chops from Big Texan. I have no problem with it. If that means,
tell you what, we can
if
agree
I
on
have to
one
get
thing.
my licks in, I'll get my licks in.
Z, we can agree on one thing though. We want to see this guy out below us in a red shirt.
I mean, yes and no, but Mr. Jim posted up here. This is what I want to see right here, right there. Boom. That's what I want to see. That's what I said. I called it last year.
Ruby, the next Brody Memorial Cup winner. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of talent in that ring. You can't count any of them out. I'm telling you.
I called it last year with Bobby D.
Hey,
Bobby D could get a 3-peat.
Ruby though, could be rock and roll.
But no, I'm going all bets on Ruby this year. All bets. I'm all for it.
But see, you can't count Bobby D out, because if he would win it again, he'd be the first ever 3-time back-to-back winner. He'd have the trifecta.
That's my dude. That's my guy.
But the cool thing though is he won't have the cup taken from him this time by a Canadian, because he can't run right now.
I mean, he can't even walk.
Well, but you got to remember the big nasty Glenn Williams. There's a guy.
One.
There's a guy you got to keep your eye on him. That guy is a graduate of the Ace Academy, and he'll let you know how tough he is. And these guys, I'm telling you. And I got a feeling
the boys of Top Gun too.
I got a feeling that the Canadian Zero will try to make an appearance there.
Oh God, I thought we were going to have a good day of quietness.
Hey, no, hold on. And, if he's there, I know how to take care of it. Just stick a cane in the wheelchair, and he won't be able to move. He'll be stuck wherever he's at.
There you go. So back to my question with you guys. So what are you going to be doing that day, other than trying to meet the people you want to meet? As far as your podcast, I mean, are you guys going to be trying to interview people like you did last year?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So for Saturday, we've already announced here lightly. We're going to make an official announcement here, but we are going to be doing a live stream on Saturday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Hopefully to gather what we can, as far as kind of see, kind of give the lowdown what's going down at the FanFest for those who are not there, or even those who are like out of state, can't make it, or if they're local, they want to know what's going on. They see people coming in, maybe they'll want to come down and get a ticket for that FanFest. So, so we're going to be broadcasting and kind
live
of talking about
walk-arounds.
Making the rounds here. We've got some plans here. We've
Good. I want you to have fun. I want you to be, make those connections, and that's what it's all about. I know there's a guy coming, Papa Dank beyond the barricade. He's coming, and he's going to do his a little blog or something from there. So he's really excited. He's coming from Long Island.
Oh goodness.
Yeah. So like I said, there's people making the trip in, and boy, I'm telling you, it's that's the impressive part I think about it. I know these other ones around the country have people come from all over, and well, like Z was saying, he's went to 5 or 6 other ones around, and but for St. Louis to have something of this magnitude, and again, we're not trying to compete with the concerts and all of that stuff. I mean, like the June 1st, the NASCAR. I mean, they predicting 30 to 40,000 people going to be there, and where we're set up at for our 2 shows that we'll be doing that day. Everybody's got to come right by there to get to the concert venue. We're opening up for what's the guy's name? Ludacris. Yeah. And then Adam Wainwright. His band is going to be there. So that's going to be an all-day deal. That's going to be fun. I think that the owners of the track, World Wide Technology Race, Roy, has been at the last 3 months of our shows in Belleville, and they've got a special price ticket for those, and they'll be at the FanFest. They'll have a booth set up, and you can get that special wrestling and racing ticket there and save some money. And I think they sold 45 tickets last week at the show in Belleville. So, and then the month before. So, yeah, they did it. Basically, the owner came 2 months ago and was only supposed to stay for a couple of matches. He ended up staying the whole night, and come to find out, his dad was friends with Pat O'Connor, and when he saw that I had the Dick the Bruiser library, that kind of sold up the deal.
Yeah. And so I mean, June 1st is going to be pretty spectacular. But think about last week was Amish NASCAR, with the Kentucky Derby. So,
hey, I did watch that. That was a good race.
Yeah, would it pay off?
I don't remember the payoff, but it was big.
17-1 or something like that.
Yeah, it was big this year.
Yeah, that was huge.
So some of the great wrestlers were there, even at the Kentucky Derby. Seth Rollins showed up and shot his threads. Sure. So yeah, they're making those moves. That's what it's all about.
Well, that's it. I'm telling you, everybody working together and sharing the work of it, and that's why when they asked me to be a part of the NASCAR, I mean, I said, how long do I have to think about it? A couple seconds, It's going to be on ESPN. I mean, come on,
right?
You can't afford to buy that kind of commercial on an independent little wrestling promotion.
Yeah, I mean,
no, that's gonna be big for you guys. I'm proud of you guys.
Yeah, I mean that is huge.
Well, we've got the rest of the year is busy for us. I mean, we're going down to Waterloo, Illinois, out to Fairmont City again, Sandoval, Illinois, Breeze, Illinois. It's just. I think people are still trying to catch up from the pandemic. These nonprofit organizations,
Right. Yeah, of course. Yeah. But as far as besides the Battle Royal, there's been some matches announced. Let's see. So if you watch tonight, so the Big Texan is scheduled to defend against Bull Bronson for the Classic Championship. The Top Guns, after the controversial ending last weekend in Belleville, they are now they're going to be defending their title at a 2 out of 3 falls match against the LA Hustlers. And seen something here at the end. I didn't quite catch the audio because I was setting up here, but I see that Superstar Steve got away with a little bit of a disqualification throwing Bobby D over the top rope. So
he cheated.
I mean, is there any other matches here I've not really touched on besides the Battle Royal, of course?
Superstar Steve Fender will be going against the Golden Boy Greg Anthony for the AIWF World Title.
Oh my God! I mean, we're talking 2 belts Fender.
I'm sorry,
2 belts Fender. He's got the AIWF National Championship
and the Central States.
And that was Central States.
That was kind of decided he got himself disqualified. It was either going to be him or Bobby D, and Steve Fender got disqualified by tossing Bobby D over the top rope. And of course, the titles don't change hands. And
Yeah.
so, but it will be a superstar Steve Fender. May end up being a 3-belt champion.
And I don't know if, and I have to chat with Matt Classic on this, but I don't know if there's been a championship match between a national champion and a world champion for the world championship in the IWF. That's, if I think that may be a first, but I'm gonna have to chat with Matt on that. So that would be something to have Greg Anthony and superstar Steve Fender. Like I said, Big Texan here, Jim here, who says this match will be at Donnybrook. That's a lot of meat to be throwing hands in that ring. I'm telling you that right now. That's a lot of meat.
Well, I'm telling you, Bull Bronson is a bull, but I'm going to tell you, I don't know if he's ever taken the lariat from the Big Texan.
I can tell him about it several times. So I mean,
yeah, I know you did. So that's going to be the match. I think that's going to surprise a lot of people when they see those two big bulls go at it.
Yeah, trust me, it will shake your foundation. I will say that. So I'll give credit where credit's due on that. So,
there's some other. I don't have the matches with me. Like I said, and I apologize. I should have had the rest of them, but
no, it's okay. No, I mean you got a lot going on. But
yeah, well, the Battle Royal I think is the eye catcher, the Hall of Fame. I mean the whole thing. I mean,
right.
I don't know why a fan would just want to come and see one and not all of it. Like we talked earlier, the price is affordable, and unless you're just there to see one certain person, and and then we got a couple of items that's going to be auctioned off. I have a guitar signed by the Honky Tonk Man that will be raffled off. Dennis McCausey did a portrait of Bruiser Brody that he's only going to sell 100 chances for that at $5 a piece, and it's a beautiful, beautiful portrait. And we'll have them on display there. And if somebody wants to try their luck at that, they can walk out of there with that nice portrait of Bruiser Brody or a nice new guitar signed by the Honky Tonk Man. So,
oh goodness,
yeah,
that's something. That's something here. So let's kind of recap here on this. So SICW FanFest 2. This all goes down this weekend. Once again, Friday on May 17th. Bill After's one-man show officially sold out. So you'll get, if you don't have a ticket, you can hear about it tomorrow on the next day on May 18th. For when the big festivities for the meet and greets for all the fans, all the vendors, including myself, with various things for sale. Oh, let's not forget about the live auction that's going throughout the day, right?
Right.
Yeah. So the live auction goes throughout the day, right?
As far as for the guitar net,
yeah.
Yeah,
so,
that'd be going on all day long.
Yeah, so there's going to be different items all day long. So, like I said, yeah. Jimmy Hart, and of course, with the help of Medusa, hosting the festivities.
Yeah, they'll be plugging that all day long, and then we'll do those drawings right towards the end of the evening. Because there's some people that just bought tickets for the wrestling show, so I want them to try to get in on the auction also.
Exactly, and so. And then, of course, the Hall of Fame, St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame ceremony with all the awards, and of course with the live wrestling card with all the matches, and especially featuring the Memorial Battle Royal. Of course, Robert Gush will be there in attendance, presenting the winner again of the cup.
And one other thing, I don't mean to interrupt you, but one other special guest we got coming in. She's never been to one of these before. Is the sister of Bruiser Brody.
Oh, wow.
So Gail is a princess of a lady also. So as I said on a couple of these other podcasts that I've done, if you want to hear a lot about Bruiser Brody, what better way to hear about it other than from his widow and his sister that grew up in the same household. So.
Excellent. Yeah. So, well, it's good. It's good to see Gail coming down for that. And once again, guys, if you've not gotten already any tickets for this, once again, SICW.org. It's a very easy website to go to, not much letters to type. Go right there. You'll have the option to even get your tickets in advance. So we talk about tickets in advance, but is there any availability to get them at the door?
Yeah, you can buy them at the door.
Okay.
The only thing is, we stress that if you get them in advance, it kind of speeds up the process because
Right.
I know you guys weren't involved in that last year because you were setting up and getting ready to do your thing. But what we will be working on this week is putting those who have purchased tickets in advance. We'll put their armbands and a little sheet in there telling them what they get to do and what they don't get to do, basically. And that'll be in a package farm. And last year we had it set up on one side of the entrance. If you had bought tickets in advance, you could go there and give them your name, show your ID, and get your packet. The other line was for people who were walk-ups. And of course, if people are paying with their debit cards or credit cards, you got to run it through the square, and it takes a little bit longer. But yeah, there will be tickets available for the FanFest, just not for the Friday night VIP party.
Right. Yeah. Because like I said, that's all gone. So SICW.org. And I like to kind of stress that, you're not going to have an event like this. Like I said, and like you mentioned before, some of our legends are here one day and they're not here the next. So if you like what you see here, take advantage of the opportunity that's given in front of you and be here for it. So, yeah. So, any other final thoughts regarding the FanFest or anything else that's on your mind here tonight, Herb?
Well, I think it's I know it's nerve wracking, and it's got to be nerve wracking for you guys too, because you want everything to be perfect for your show, and I'm sure it will be. You guys will get on there, and I know our guys are ready. Big Texan and guys like that always help me out, and Andy, my guy. Right-hand guy with the ring, and he's my jack of all trades, and he's my troubleshooter. We have to take the chandeliers down this year because last year they had their electricians at the hotel do it. Well, this year he's not there, so but Andy gets the chore of doing that. But no, I just want to thank everybody, the vendors who jumped on board right away, and they're going to be bringing in their shirts and whatever gimmicks they're selling. And when you have a event like this, it takes a coordinated effort. And I appreciate you guys and everybody who is signed on board, and the people from the racetrack going to be there selling their tickets. I think is a plus to help them. It helps the fans save a little money on their tickets there. I just want everybody to come out and enjoy themselves, and then we'll do a debriefing on it that following week and see how it all went with everything. And I joke and tell everybody, if you see on the newscast on Friday during the day some big heavy set guy running towards the airport, don't worry, it's just Herb leaving town.
Oh my goodness.
We're gonna be fine. Like I said, my wife, my son, Jason, and Jeremy, and my daughter, and everybody chips in to help out. My sister, and then the trainees at the Ace Wrestling Academy are stepping up to the plate because it's a good thing for them too. They get to meet some of these guys and girls that they've only heard about because they're so young, But thank God for Google, because you can find out anything you want to know about them. Maybe it's not true, but you can at least find out about them,
Right, exactly. And may I just go back and do my own little Barry Horowitz, pat myself on the back for being the first one to commit to this FanFest as a vendor.
You were the first one. You jumped on there right away, and I appreciate that. And I said, well, if we don't get anybody else, we'll have the Rick Ruby's crew, So, and we'd have done it, whether we had the one or have as many we do now. The vendors just add to it. I think Nick's even got a one of those cornhole games or something he's setting up in that hallway, and so people want to take a chance at that and win prizes. And so Nick has really worked hard on this like he did last year, and I appreciate all the help he's done. And so we got 6 days to go, and then we'll see what the future brings.
And then a whole year to crown the next one.
Z is really pushing that issue, ain't he? He's really pushing it, but like I said, as busy as we're booked for the rest of the year, I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, and I know the guys in the locker room enjoy it. In fact, we're going down to Arkansas for another show, and on June 29th, I got to be down there. I was supposed to be at the one last night with Bill Dundee and Jerry Lawler and them, but
oh yeah,
I had to beg out of that one because I literally doing these podcasts because it's a way to let people know, that not everybody watches yours, not everybody watches the other one, and Jim and his guys, Nate and Bobby D do theirs, and they've been spreading the word out there, and that's what it takes because this just doesn't help SICW. This helps the wrestling business having an event like this because we all can share in it. And one thing I want to mention out there is that, probably some of the other promotions will tell you it didn't happen, but I can tell you it did, and it can prove it, that we reached out the olive branch to all the other promotions around the area and asked them to be involved in this. And what I mean by being involved is come and set up a table and have a couple of your guys show up, sell your products, or just put out information on your shows. And there was only one that actually got back with us, and that was Glory Pro. And they had some type of conflict, but at least they called back and let us know that they weren't going to be able to do it. But
the table I said, I'll tell you right now, straight up, and they can get mad at me for saying it. I voted we should have done it. So
yeah, it wasn't going to cost them anything. But what better way to help market your product, but to come out and take pictures and just to show the crowd that you were around and say, hey, we're here. And like I said, I'm almost sure that it was, I don't think there was one promotion that wasn't contacted. But if there is, and if there was one out there that we may have forgot, if they want to call and ask, I'll still make room for them because, like I said, it helps everybody. It shouldn't be just about one person in this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And for them to not even call back, I think is kind of childish, but But that's okay. I'm a big boy. I just put my big boy pants on, but again, I wanted to make the offer to him because, man, if it would have been me, if I was another one, a promotion, and I'd have said, hey, I'm coming, and that's like me. I mean, Joey Farrell, he invited me over to his show at the theater there off of Grand a month or two ago. Texan and I went, and my son, and he advertised during their intermission the whole FanFest, and he told me, he said, hey, if you come over and be a part and just be here, he said, we'll advertise your FanFest for you. And so we went over there on that Sunday evening, and I saw a lot of the guys there that's working at some of these other promotions, and it was fun seeing them. And sure enough, they came back out of intermission, and the first thing that came up on their big screen was SICW FanFest 2. So, yep. I mean, but again, you can only you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make them drink it.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. So what I will say here real quick here is I want to do is, for those Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, we appreciate you guys. I want to give a big shout out to all of our followers on X, or who's watching on X right now. We're seeing the numbers, and we greatly appreciate you guys tuning in on X.com right now, or formerly Twitter, or going to be formerly Twitter, or whatever. But we thank you guys for viewing tonight, and like I said, make sure you catch us every Sunday night.
Hit that like, that subscribe, hit that notification so you can get our every week. And
You mean we had anybody other than Big Jim watching?
oh yeah,
Oh yeah,
we're
we
rocking
got
12 right now, brother.
How
we
many?
had about
12 right now.
8 people from
Good.
X watching the
Yep.
stream right now.
Good.
So
Well, I appreciate each and every one of them, because if they're watching, that means they're a wrestling fan, and boy, there is nothing better than wrestling fans and talking wrestling. Like I said, we could sit here and talk all night long and just touch the surface of some of the stuff that we know about.
exactly. And then, like I said, I will say here the next, after this, we're gonna have a busy weekend, but we're gonna be next week. We're gonna be recapping what we had in photos and memories and all that. We're gonna do a review of the FanFest on next Sunday, and then we're gonna give ourselves a much deserving break for Memorial Day weekend, and then get back to the grind in June. So, yeah, so we're definitely looking forward to this. And once again, Herb, I can't really thank you enough for joining us here tonight.
Well, I thank you guys for getting Manny Fernandez on.
Oh, yeah,
that was so much fun.
Yeah, he was. Manny's a great guy, and you're gonna, when you meet him in person, you're gonna love him. And I mean, a guy that's so humble. Hey, I went out and did my job, and when he was telling you those stories about when Terry Funk was calling him and telling him, knock your crap off, I'm getting complaints. That was all true, man. I can tell you, I heard those stories right out of Terry's mouth. But Manny made no bones about it. He was a little troublemaker, and but boy, what a worker he was,
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was great having Manny on. And of course, we had Scott Romer on last week.
Oh, I'm telling you what, Scott's another one you could talk all night or two. I'm telling you.
He can talk all night.
I'm one to agree with you there.
Well, and the thing about Scott is like I told you, he's not only got the wrestling information, he's done it all with it. I mean, yeah, I know he brought up about last year when Spike and his ex-wife showed up, and it was a family affair,
Right?
Yeah, Scott's got some stories, and he's got pictures. I remember when he wrote his book.
Blow you away.
He said, "I'm going to put you in my book," and I said, "Well, just make it one line or something, So, but yeah, there's guys like out there that can help promote things, and that's what you want. You want people saying, "Hey, we were on their podcast and we had a good time," and because it seems like now everybody wants to start a podcast, but some people don't know what they should do about it.
With your background, I kind of thought that's what you were trying to do. You and Barbara doing all these podcasts for this FanFest, you're going to start your own.
No, I've got guys like you, got guys like Texan and them. The TV show is what we do. We're on Intrigue TV and we're on Genesis TV now. I'm working on another deal. But doing the TV is a whole different animal. And if you want to do it the right way, and
Right.
not trying to compete with anybody, we're just trying to have fun with it. And as I said on a podcast the other day, if I get one more viewer each week, it's a success. And you get a success by the guys going out there and doing their job and telling the stories. And the one podcast I had to do, somebody didn't understand the reverse booking, and so I gave them a 101 class on that, and then it was like, oh, well, that makes sense, So, but if you, the TV is especially on the internet, because people can go back and watch it anytime they want. You may not get that many views on your Sunday night, but then if you look at what you get throughout the rest of the week, people are working, they come home and they tune into it, or they can go back and watch it here or there. I got some people, when I share it on a Sunday morning, they'll say, I'm working tonight, but I'll watch it tomorrow. And then tomorrow they call me and say, oh, I watched it. I loved it, And so you got your regulars, but then you get people that when you share it, and they're sharing it, you pick up those viewers, and that's what you want.
Exactly. Yeah. And like so, and we do get our views here too,
Yeah.
But we just feel, if you're able to watch it live, you get that experience. You get to leave comments, and
Oh, I love the live part. In fact, I've talked to Jim about theirs. I mean, I think when they get able to start doing a live, because what you'll find with fans, they want to interact, they want to ask questions that they want to be answered. And I don't know if you ever catch one of my live ones I do on a Saturday of our show. I'll go through that.
Oh yeah.
I'll answer everybody. I try to answer everybody. If they just get on there and say, "Hi, Herb," I say, "Hey, hi." People they want to be recognized. They want to be interacting with you, and they can't do that on a recording. But
Yeah.
that's what I told Jim and Bobby and them. I said, if you get it set up to where you can start lining, and if you could get it set up to where you could start taking phone calls and people asking their questions that way, that's what people want to see and hear.
Yeah. We got that phone line tucked away for now, but we've had we have one eager beaver more than anything that we kind of had to put a kibosh on for a bit. And I'm not in any rush to bring it back. Just leave a comment and we'll respond. Yeah.
Yeah, but the good thing about the phone, you can always, that's what I tell them. But I can be the baddest guy on the telephone you'll ever see.
Right.
Just call me Mr. Clickham. Yeah. So
there you go.
Yeah. But no, you guys, I really appreciate you taking tonight and kind of clearing. I noticed you didn't do your memes and all of that, so I kind of disrupted your programming.
Oh no, not at all. I had no plans of doing that at all.
See, now I watch because I know you do the memes, right? So
yeah.
Oh, okay, so you being as seasoned in the business, do you like our meme segment?
Yeah, I think they have a place, and I think that you do it at the right time. Now, would I want to see a 10 or 15-minute segment of it? Probably no, but I think you're timing it at the right time. I think sometimes too much is not good. But nobody else is doing it, so you kind of got the niche on that. Some of them I laugh at, some of them I scratch my head at, but and I'm being honest,
Same.
What you get with me is honesty, and but like I said, yeah, could I sit there and I'll give you an example. The other day on a podcast, somebody says, "Hey, what did you think of the Iron Claw movie?" And I said, "I haven't saw it yet." And they said, "What?" And I said, "Yeah." And they said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, let me tell you why." I said, I'm a movie critic. I'm the type of guy, and I've heard enough about it so far, and guys who I know that I trust say, well, they did this and it didn't look right, or they had this guy that did this. Harley race guy that played that was punching with his right hand, and Harley is supposed to be was always a lefty. And I'd be the guy sitting in movie theaters saying, "Hey, wait a minute, that's not Harley race. He's going a right hand instead of a left." So I said, but I will watch it. But right now, I'm just getting a lot of the feedback from the other critics that I know. But yeah, but no, I think that as long as you're getting a good review from your viewers and they like it, you roll with punches,
See, that's why I ask you, because I want the upfront answer.
Yeah. No, I couldn't sit there and watch, a 10 or 15-minute segment of it. And like I said, something like that, it's funny because you tune it in right at the right time usually. And, I'll be honest, sometimes podcast people bring guests on that they'll have on for an hour or two, and they could have done everything that they talked about in 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Right. I get you.
Yeah, because they're doing their guest gets lost. It's kind of like in the ring, Ruby, when you're working with a greenhorn that don't know what he's doing after the first 4 or 5 minutes, and he's going, "What do I do now?" So sometimes guests, and I'm not just saying yours, I've seen it on quite a few podcasts. That's why when I do, like I've been doing all these, I try to get somebody on there that I know that's going to get to the points, and then you build off of that. But I think what does it is practice makes perfect, and some guests will never learn that. But as the host, it's like doing the color. You're doing color work, Z, aren't you, over at your shows?
Yeah, yeah.
And I got to admit, I haven't heard or seen any of it, but you've got to a color commentator can spoil it if he knows too much about what's going to happen, because then he overthinks it.
Yeah, when they run down the card, I walk out of the back.
Yeah, and I used to tell Tony Costa that when I was doing the color for him over at South Broadway, he'd always want me to come up to the dressing room, and two reasons why. One, it was a damn steep flight of stairs that I wasn't going to fall down, and two, I didn't want to take. I wanted to have the excitement of when I saw something, because then my voice would say, "Hey, the announcer's even surprised about this," If I just sit there and say, "Oh yeah, he threw so and so over the rope, and this is what's going to happen," well, then it makes it sound like I know it, and you don't want to do that. Eric, I don't know if you ever listened to Eric Bischoff.
All the time.
If you go in, and he talked about that here a while back, the same way that even when he did some of the color, he didn't want to know, and that's the true thing. You don't want to.
I actually was listening to it was JR. JR's podcast one time back when he had his going fairly good, and he talked about that, how he would not stay in the back when they ran the card down. He would leave and go catering or something else, or go shoot the breeze with somebody, because he didn't want to know what was going to happen, because he wanted it to be authentic. And yeah, I feel the same way. Why do I need to know? I don't need to know.
No, all you need to know the match, the lineup, who's on, and what you got to announce as far as any high spots. I mean, as far as any upcoming shows or anything you're promoting. But as far as the match itself, I don't want to know it. I want to be surprised as those sitting in the front seat. They had to buy the tickets.
Exactly.
I just get paid with the best seat in the house. That's it.
You do what?
I get paid with the best seat in the house. That's it. Like, I still get to be the fan. So
there you go. So do you do color by yourself, or do you have somebody with you?
Myself and the good old man Guido. So I don't know if you know who that is.
I know.
Guido's pretty good. He's pretty good and does his work. So him and I, and then I have a mini segment occasionally when they need an interviewer called We Talk Wrestling Live. So bringing my YouTube, not my YouTube, my Facebook stuff into my regular stuff. So yeah.
Okay. Good. Yeah. So just practice makes perfect, I'll tell you. Yeah.
I'm gonna keep scratching.
Do you find yourself preparing for any of it, or you just cold turkey it?
Well, if they want me to have bullet points, I respect that, and I'm cool with that. Like, you got things you want me to go over, but let me come up with my, like Ruby does here with us. We have bullet points and a layout, what we are going to go through. Yeah. But then he's open to us being us. So
right, you got to have that. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I didn't know there are some guys that stress themselves out because they want everything to be perfect. And I've tried, even Dr. Drew, I tell him, don't worry about it. It's my show. Unless you go out there and totally screw up, don't worry about it. We're playing to an audience that loves professional wrestling. Now, if you go out there and call a hold the wrong hold, and if you call a headlock a leg lock, then we got
get out of the seat.
Then we got to go back to the drawing board. But when you're in the hype of the moment, when you're into the battle is going, yeah, you should be excited. Yeah. And so if you do say something wrong, it's understandable. If you sit there and call when they're having a Donnybrook in there and you're sitting there going, yeah, Z is hitting Rick, and guess what? Rick ducked, and now here comes Tim, and he's doing this. People's going, God damn, is that guy falling asleep? If he's not excited, why should I be excited? So, no, hopefully I can catch some of your play-by-play.
One of these, we're on YouTube. I haven't been there this year because we've been booked up with Falls Count Everywhere as of late. So,
yeah,
I know. I've been taken away from shows.
It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah, well, you gotta weigh out what is prioritized, So
I like to make moves and make contacts. So if I can help both sides of the fence, I'm all about it.
yeah, that's what's got to be done, and that's why it's I've tried spreading the word, the fact that I don't know it all, but I know more than most of this business here locally. And if there is somebody that knows more, I want to learn from them. So come and talk to me, and I've extended that branch, but everybody knows a lot. Everybody knows more than me, so there's no need for me to learn anything from them.
I understand that one more than you
Understandable. Understandable.
Well, the day you quit learning in this business is the day you need to go look.
You need to get out.
You need to look at something else.
That's the two things I keep saying, and I'm what 5 years, 6 years, 5 years in, I think now, 5 years in, and I keep saying that, like, I hear so many guys in the locker room, like, they're like, oh, I don't watch wrestling, I don't do this, I don't do. How are you not watching wrestling today, or at least watching old footage? Because you have to study both of them to understand where it's going, where it came from, why it went this way, and you got to stay a fan. Because if you don't stay a fan of either today's product or the old product, you don't belong in the business anymore because you've lost the passion.
Oh yeah, one of the things that Tex and Bob and them make the students at the academy, they have homework every week, and some of that homework is you got to watch a match, and you got to come back and show us which one you watched and tell us what you gathered from it. And to me, that's just great. That's teaching them the psychology, because that's one thing that's not being taught nowadays, other than at places like us and down at Dory Funk's and Tom Pritchard's and people like that, So yeah, they make them. Hey, tell us, and they're on a group chat, and the students post on there. This is what I watched. This is the match I watched. This is what I did for my calisthenics, and so it's pretty run good ship. But they have it's also, I go down there usually on a Tuesday night, and they it's a family, and no drama. That's one thing I insist. Drama and egos have to be checked at the door.
Amen.
Amen. Those are the two things that will ruin the locker room and the heartbeat. And it's no hard feelings. It's nothing personal. But if you can't check your ego and check your the drama stuff, then you don't belong in the business.
Yep.
But
exactly.
But I was glad to hear you say that when the offer was made for your group to be in part of the come over to FanFest, that you at least voted for it, and you're just one vote. I understand that, but at least I know they got the message.
Yeah, they moved me to the committee, so I do get help with booking and all that stuff. But yes, my vote was 100% for it. I was like, we should go 100%.
Yeah, especially with you going to be there already.
It is what it is.
Right.
I plan on trying to make the jump back to IEW for the evening. I'm going to stay for a little bit, I think, but I'm going to go to my home too, hopefully, for a little bit. But
sure.
No, I 100%. I think it was I don't even care if this gets me hot waters. I think it was a poor decision not to be there.
Yeah. Well, and it shouldn't. I mean, they should understand you're entitled to your opinion, and like I said, they would have been there. You guys are going to be there. It's not like they were going to be nobody there that they would know. I'd be surprised if some of the fans that go to their shows don't show up. I mean, if they were true fans growing up, and if they grew up with some of these legends, they should come and meet them, and see them in person. But again, I just wanted you guys to know that and it was made to all of the organizations out there, South Broadway, Glory Pro, all the other letters out there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's one promotion I hope to grace one day, is Glory Pro.
Yeah.
Big fan of them. Big fan of them.
Yep. And like I said, they're doing it the right way. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You got to give credit where credit's due. So, but I know you guys have been on there long, and you got to go to work tomorrow, and I get to continue to worry about almost 5 days from now.
That's all right. No, it's all right, Herb. But man, like I said, we appreciate you coming on. Like I said, we're looking forward to being down here this weekend. Like I said, big
What
things
time
happening.
you guys plan on coming in?
I'll be there Friday.
Well,
Okay, you
I
can
would
start.
like to
You can start setting up Friday.
Yep, I'm gonna
I
come
would
help
love
Ruby.
to set up Friday if I
Yeah,
can.
I'll be there.
He just gave us permission.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think my first trip from the airport is like it's 6:40, but then I'll have people there steadily from about 9 o'clock on.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
have Andy will be there, and then I know there's some other vendors talked about coming in and setting up. The people from Nebraska, and I'll have the diagrams and everything of where everybody's tables are at. And was that spot where you guys last year? Was that okay for you, or?
Yeah, we want to do that
That
again.
was pretty effective. If we had one moved over,
Closer
toward
to the door that everybody was coming in and out of.
yeah. So the ones those might get the one the one at the very end. If we're talking business here, the one at the very end would be kind of cool because then people would like to, like if there's a legend or a star that's come on, that they can just come right around the table and sit with us instead of having to try to, kind of squeeze in between tables. But I mean, that's my perfect solution. But
Sure. Yeah.
but
Yep.
all the was on the what was going to be best for the diagram. But yeah.
Yep. But we'll be there, and then, like I said, we'll start getting everything set up and laid out, and then see how it all goes.
Yep. And like I said, we've got some ordered some new equipment, so we give that a try, and trying to get that all set up. And in fact, we're probably advancing some features, kind of like we did, to kind of make us pop out a little bit more at the end, so people know where we're at. So hopefully that'll turn out. But yeah, we're looking forward to get up set up here Friday, experience this whole weekend, and then we're going to review it Sunday. With everything going in. So, like I said, we'll probably welcome anybody that's actually been there or was actually part of it. If they want to come on and talk with us on Sunday night, they're more than welcome to. So,
Well, good. Well, if I'll still be making trips to the airport. I may call you and see how you thought of it.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm dropping off so and so at the airport. How did you guys think of it?
So 5 days away now, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I'm on the way to the airport while you guys are on, and we go live from in my car.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
And the funny thing is that the LTX Studios here is 5 minutes from Lambert Airport. So, it's
Wow. Yeah,
I'm like right here. So,
man, you get to see them all flying in and flying out.
oh
You get to hear
yeah,
'em.
yeah.
At least
sometimes
hear them. You get to hear them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right, guys, I'm gonna let you get off of here, and then appreciate it. I hope we didn't run over too long of your scheduled time, but
Oh, you're good. You're good. But we appreciate you being on, and we'll see you this weekend. All right.
very good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you,
Thanks a
Herb.
lot, Herbie. Have a good night.
Good night.
All right. So
No.
there we go. Okay, now we go. Time to shuffle around. All right, guys. So once again, for those who are streaming us on X, we appreciate you guys watching us. Once again, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, at FCE Podcast. Of course, everywhere else, this Falls Count everywhere. We're going to have a big weekend this coming weekend, guys. Like, so we knew this whole night was going to be with Herb and SICW FanFest 2. And I'm glad, we had some great conversation. If you missed any part of it, go back and watch the replay for everything. So,
Like, subscribe, share.
Yeah. So like, subscribe, share. Yeah, the obvious. That's what you should do. So
Hit the bell.
yeah, right.
I'll say it all.
Yeah, ring the bell on the way out the door. So, any final thoughts from you guys about upcoming or?
Dude, I'm pumped. I'm even more pumped. And once again, I know me and Herb can talk for hours. I have mad respect for the man and love to sit under his learning tree any chance I get a chance to do it. So I'm pumped for this weekend. That's all I can say.
Absolutely. So, I know GQ's kind of struggling. He's had a long day here, unless he's got any final
Long day, long week.
Yeah. Well,
It's just 2 tires.
yeah. I mean, he's kind of tired,
Hey.
So,
don't
once again,
understand
we
the
thank everybody for joining us here this week. Once again, next week we will recap the FanFest, our live stream Saturday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. We'll make an official announcement of that. Recap the entire weekend next Sunday, and then of course we're taking off Memorial Day weekend, and then we'll kick things back off on June 2nd. We'll make that episode number 148 because episode 147 should be next week. Recap everything. So, but no, we're excited to see everybody there. Until then, we'll see you down at the FanFest. For myself, GQ, and the Gem City Mouse Zmiz, we thank you very much for joining us. Have a good week, everybody. We'll see you this weekend. And until then, see ya. Have a good night. Thanks again for tuning in to tonight's episode of the Falls Counts Everywhere podcast. Don't forget our friends at the following: Keeping It Cool with Tyler Cooley, the Squared Ring podcast, and We Talk Wrestling. The Falls Counts Everywhere podcast is an LTX Enterprises production.